starting in Konoha, I got the Rinnegan by signing in. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 376. 4. The Whitebeard's armed color domineering. At this moment, Ryuban's mind also sounded a system prompt. Liu Ren didn't hesitate, and directly chose the domineering look of the Whitebeard immediately afterwards. The Whitebeard's domineering appearance and Hawkeye Mihawk's domineering appearance were superimposed, making Ryuban's domineering appearance reach a terrifying level. Even if you look at the entire pirate world, it is absolutely top-notch. Although there is still a big gap compared to Fujitora that can perceive meteorites in space, there is no problem in perceiving a range of hundreds of kilometers casually. After brushing the rewards from Whitebeard, Ryuban's second choice was Marco. Naturally, the reward he brushed from Marco was undoubtedly the Phoenix Fruit. As for the other captains, their abilities are relatively weak, so it's not worth mentioning what rewards they get. Chapter 201. Demon Eye Flowing Blade is the strongest man in the world. Generally speaking, Liu Jian's gains in this battle with the Whitebeard pirates are still very good, and the most critical harvest is undoubtedly the Phoenix Fruit from Marco. With this fruit, the bladed Yang Yun chakra can also be transformed and sublimated, so Ryuban's mood is still very good. Go la la la, what a breathtaking combat power. The hearty voice of Beybird rang again, but he saw that Beybird began to entertain Liu Blade on board the boat with great enthusiasm. Although he was battered with blood throughout this battle, after a fight, it was obvious that Whitebeard and Ryuban had become acquainted a lot. The captains who had been abused by the bloodshed were all too excited. The Demon Eye Flowing Blade is a well-deserved reputation. It's really fortunate to have participated in an unprecedented battle today. Participate? I remember you were blown away without getting close to Demon Eye Rushing Blade, right? You who have the fruit of the Phoenix, haven't you been solved by the magic eye with a punch, eh? Diamond Jaws was blown away by Demon Eye Rushing Blade, unscathed. You can't get up like a dead dog, limp on the ground and bark unscathed. The captains were excited one by one, and they kept talking together with their eyes shining. It was an honor to be able to hold on for an extra second in front of Demon Eye Ryuban. Of course, this is a friendly discussion. Ryuban's shot is very measured. These captains were only defeated by Ryuban, nothing more. It is inevitable to have a black nose and a swollen face, but none of them are really injured from this point. It also illustrates the power of Ryuban. To defeat the opponent without hurting the opponent, this needs to be far above the strength of the opponent. After returning to the Moby Dick, Ryuban was enthusiastically sought after by everyone on board, and his popularity was simply terrifying. In this world, the strong are often easier to be respected and admired, not to mention he is a man who has cured the Whitebeard's body, and although he is strong, he is always merciful naturally. It goes without saying that Beybird treated Ryuban as a distinguished guest to entertain him, and personally took Ryuban for a tour on the Mobile and other ships. While the itineraries were accompanied by Beybird himself, and several captains followed and acted as attendants. Even the red-haired owner of the Fruit of Face has never had such a face. Okay, Beybird, thank you for your warm hospitality. I still have more to say. After the guest and host had a good time, Ryuban said goodbye to Beybird, but I still have things to do, so I won't bother too much. On the Moby Dick deck, Whitebeard led all the captains to bid farewell to Liu Blade. He raised his head and laughed heartily. Go la la la, Demon Eye Rushing Blade, my Whitebeard pirate group, always welcome you, and me, Mr. Edward. Nami tiptoes and stretches her head, trying to find her presence in front of Whitebeard. Goo la 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 la, of course, beautiful Miss Nami and Miss Nicole Robin, the wine and food on my boat will always be reserved for you. Gone. Ryuban waved his hand to Beybird, turned around and jumped on the wooden ladder he had made before, and walked back to his boat. Two sisters, Nami and Nicole Robin, and Laoshak, a tool man, also followed Ryuban back to the boat. The magic eye is flowing. Although I know you don't necessarily tell me, but I am still really curious, what is your purpose? Wang Yuan, who was waiting for a long time on the Ryuban boat, couldn't help but stared at Ryuban and asked. He has also stayed on the Ryuban ship for a long time, and he has witnessed Ryuban's shots against one strong person after another, but those shots seem to have no purpose. Unlike having grievances, Demon Eye Ryuban did not plunder any property, and they could not see any other obvious behavioral tendencies. Therefore, Both the yellow ape and the green pheasant are very curious about Ryuban's series of behaviors during the time on the ship. They had discussed each other many times in private, but until now, apart from Ryuban's strength constantly refreshing their cognition, they have never revealed the mystery of other Ryuban. Lao Shak, sail. Liu Ren casually ordered Lao Shak, the tool man, and then she shrugged to Wang Yuan indifferently. Wang Yuan, not every general likes to talk nonsense like you, right, Master Ryuban? Where are we going next? Nami walked to Liu Ren's side and asked at this time, still holding a map in her hand. Go to the Navy appointment, Liu Ren said without thinking. The agreed time is not far behind. And now Liu Bian has no energy to do other things for the time being, so naturally he will go to the appointment first. Nami took the map and looked at it, and then placed the map in front of Liu Bian, and drew a route. Master Liu Bian, we have to pass through 5 islands along the way. Assuming that each island is full of pointers, it takes a day for magnetism, and it takes us almost 27 days to get there. This is still a relatively optimistic situation. It excludes the fact that other things happen on the way and the situation that none of the 5 islands will take longer. Nami, the navigator, is relatively reliable. After a simple calculation, she gave a general situation of Ryuban. 27 days. Liu Ren pondered slightly. The agreed time with the Navy, there are 34 days. That's enough. Chapter 377. Nami couldn't help covering her face a little. There was only a 7-day time difference, which was far from enough. Hey, this is 9 Snake Island, but Liu Bian glanced at the route Nami drew, and his eyes flickered slightly. 9 Snake Island is the site of the female Emperor Boy Hancock in the 7 martial seas under the king. Although the female Emperor's strength is mediocre, but at any rate the female Emperor is also a person with devil fruit ability. Another point worthy of attention is that many people on 9 Snake Island will be domineering. If the next deal that Liu Bian will complete with the Navy is a great opportunity to harvest devil fruit, then 9 Snake Island is a good opportunity to acquire domineering. And if Liu Bian remembers well, the island of 9 Snake is in the windless zone, and I don't know how many Sea Kings there are in it at that time. He can change to a real Sea King boatman. Well, it serves multiple purposes. In this case, Nami, let's go to 9 Snake Island first. Liu Bian made a decision and said to Nami, yes, Master Liu Bian. 9 Snake Island. Nami was flashed by Liu Bian. The 9 Snake Island is not within the 5 islands they will pass through. There is not enough time. Master Liu Bian will not hurry on the road, and still have extraordinary branches. Master Liu Bian, if we go to 9 Snake Island, we won't be able to keep up with the Navy appointment, Nami said to Liu Bian. Nami, there is a saying in our hometown that we should sharpen knives not to chop wood by mistake. Don't worry, I know it in my heart. Liu Ren smiled at Nami. Now that Liu Bian said that, Nami naturally had no opinion, and immediately went to find Lao Shak, and started sailing towards the direction of 9 Snake Island. And in this period the battle between Liu Bian and Whitebird was also reported by big news morgans, and became known to the world with the sale of newspaper after newspaper. The whole sea boiled again. It's so shocking. The world's strongest man with a white beard was defeated by the magic guy. The white beard, one of the 4 emperors, was defeated by the hands of Mo and Liu Bian. Trouble you to see clearly, okay? It's not that I defeated Baybird, but he defeated Baybird and all the captains at the same time. In other words, Mo and Liu Bian defeated the Whitebird pirates alone. From now on, the strongest man in the world is no longer a white beard, but a magic guy. Hi. Defeated the 4 emperors pirate group alone. Is this too abnormal? Every corner of the sea is full of such shocking voices. Has Mo and Liu Bian defeated the Whitebird pirates again? Malin Vando, Marshal's office. After receiving the report from the secretary, Warring States couldn't help rubbing his temples, expressing a terrible headache. The Navy got in 3 generals one after another, so the Warring States period was not very surprised that Liu Jian swept the 4 Emperor-class pirates. He just felt a terrible headache since the news that the 3 Navy generals were captured by Liu Jian. The Navy has suddenly fallen into the most difficult predicament in history. Each branch was frantically provoked by the pirates. Even Kato and Big Mim, the 4 emperors, were unwilling to be lonely, and set off toward Malin Vando if it weren't for Karp to take a number of lieutenants to intercept and suppress. The 2 uneasy masters might really make trouble in the Navy headquarters now that the sea surface has been messed up by Demon Eye Liu Bian. He is still uneasy, and he is doing things one after another. First, the 7 martial seas under the king, and the 4 emperors. What exactly does this Demon Eye Liu Bian want to do? The Warring States had a terrible headache, but now there is not much time to think about this, because the time to trade with Mo and Liu Bian is almost coming, and it is almost time for the Warring States to lead the team personally. Thinking of this, the Warring States period picked up a phone bug special line and contacted Kong. Commander, the action will begin immediately. And you are also invited to sit in the Navy headquarters. Understood. Kong's low voice came from the phone worm. After 5 days of sailing, an island with 9 large snake statues hovering on it appeared in the sight of everyone. Although Nine Snake Island is famous for its daughter's island, from a distance, Nine Snake Island exudes a majestic and domineering appearance on the central rock wall of the island. The word Nine Snake winds up vigorously. Master Ryuban, we are here. Nami looked at the huge island that appeared in front, and couldn't help but exclaim to Ryuban excitedly. At this same moment, Nami's super weather-sensitive physique had already sensed that there was no wind ahead if it were in the past. Nami would not dare to enter this kind of death zone. After all, there is no wind in the windless zone, and the ship cannot sail. However, there are all kinds of sea kings in the windless zone, which are huge to a terrifying degree. For the pirates, it is indeed a death zone unless it is a Navy power ship. No one dares to come in. But now Nami didn't even think about the windless zone or the windless zone, because this is not a problem for the Master Ryuban, who can fly in the air and create wind out of thin air. In other words, the only minor problem is that their current boatmen dare not enter the windless zone. Obviously, the boatmen must have sensed the real sea kings in the windless zone. Well, you are dragging us all the way, and you have worked so hard. Now is the time to set you free. Liu Ren stood up, slapped both palms. Mudun's power used to release the wooden dune restraints on the boatman. The boatman crashed and plunged into the sea and disappeared. Wind escape. Once the typhoon has passed, Ryuban used the wind to control the ship to sail forward and entered the windless zone. While several huge waves of incomparable surging on the sea surface, several giant sea kings of hundreds of meters, rushed out from the seabed, and attacked Ryuban. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378. Okay, so big. The eyes of Nami and Nicole Robin were about to come out. It was not afraid, but was shocked by the huge Sea King class. The visual impact caused by the body of hundreds of meters can be imagined, but including the two girls, no one on the ship showed even the slightest panic, because everyone knows that even a Sea King that is a few hundred meters in size is nothing in front of Liu Jian. Chidori, with a move of Ryuban's heart, a web of thunder and lightning within a range of hundreds of meters instantly fell from the sky and directly smashed the bodies of those Sea Kings. Puff, puff, all the Sea Kings were electrocuted so easily, and fell into the seawater from mid-air. There were huge waves after another. Amidst the huge waves, a small boat moved forward as steady as Mount Tai moved steadily towards the island of Hydra. The sentry on Nine Snake Island soon discovered Liu Blade's visit, and reported the news amidst a frenzied expression inside a magnificent hall. Master Snake G is not good. A woman wearing a leopard print bikini with yellow hair quickly ran to Bo Hancock with a trace of tension on her face. This woman is no one else but Margaret, the defender of the Nine Snakes Island daughter country. How decent to be so rude in front of my concubine. Boy Hancock frowned and scolded. Don't think the Empress is a soft girl in front of Luffy, but in fact Hancock's temper is stinky to the extreme. Margaret, don't panic. If you have something to say slowly, there is nothing that can't be solved if there is a sister beside Hancock. Sonder Sonia, one of the three sisters, said condescendingly to Margaret, the magic eye is coming. He drove into the windless zone and will soon reach our Nine Snake Island. Margaret calmed down a bit and said, but still couldn't keep calm. Magic Eye's flowing blade. Hancock, who was sitting in a sitting posture, suddenly sat upright, and his pupils contracted subconsciously. Even if the Empress who had carved her pride into her bones, she couldn't keep calm when she heard the name of Demon Eye Ryuban. Chapter 202. The concubine's body must repay Liu Blade no matter what. Sister, what should I do? It's a magic eye. Yes, sister. Why did Demon Eye Ryuban come to Nine Snake Island? The two sisters of Boy Hancock both showed shock and panic on their faces. What about the magic eye? After Hancock was subconsciously shocked, he quickly returned to his senses, showing his arrogance and self-confidence again. No one in this world can resist the beauty of a concubine, even if it is a magic eye. The same goes for the blade. Sanja Sonia, Mary Grout, assemble the crew of the Nine Snakes and Pirates. Go with your concubine for a while with the magic eyes and the sword. Boy Hancock is full of spirits. The two sisters got Hancock's order and soon went to gather people. When the people of the Nine Snakes and Pirates heard the news from Demon Eye Ryubana, they were all shocked. That was a man who successively defeated the kings Kiwuhei, the admiral, and the 4 emperors. It can be said that the powerful forces on the sea basically have people who have been defeated by the magic eye in every camp. However, when Hancock appeared in front of everyone and gave a protruding speech in her unique 90-degree backward arrogance posture, he immediately sent all the crew members back. Yes, no one in the world can resist the beauty of Lord Snake G. Lord Snakeheim is so beautiful, so no matter what she does, she will be forgiven, even if it is more Ryubana. Open the gates, open the gates. The outpost on Nine Snake Island quickly received this order, and began to open the city gates. Boya Hancock took her 9 Snake pirate ship and sailed out of Nine Snake Island aggressively. Sure enough, I saw it head on. Ryubana's boat was hurriedly approaching them. The magic eye Ryubana has entered the windless zone. What's the matter? Hancock frowned slightly and was puzzled. There was no wind at all in the windless zone, and Demon Eye Ryubana was not like the 9 Snakes and Pirates using Sea Kings to pull the boat. How did he sail in the windless zone? Sister, look at their sails. Sonda Sonia keenly discovered something, and said beside Hancock. Hancock glanced attentively, only to find that the sails on the opponent's ship were really bulging, and he was even more surprised. Why does the windless zone wind up? Sister, I'm afraid it's not because of the wind that caused the wind. Mostly the magic eye Ryubana used some means, Mary Grout also said in a deep voice beside Hancock. It's really a mysterious man. Hancock exclaimed a little, but then became arrogant again. But what about it? In front of the beauty of the concubine, it's nothing. Sail the boat and stop them. Following Hancock's order, the 9 Snakes and Pirates took the initiative to greet Ryubana and the others. Master Ryubana, the Empress and the others are very courageous. Nami saw this scene and couldn't help but sit in admiration. Now in the ocean, there are not many people who dare to face Master Ryubana. I heard that the Empress is the #1 beauty in the world. I really want to see it, Nami said curiously. Afterwards, in this expectation, the two sides got closer and closer, and finally they met in the sea not far from the entrance of Hydra Island. Chapter 379. This is the Empress, really beautiful. Even I am a woman, I think she is so beautiful. Nami finally got her wish and saw the world's first beauty in the first second. She didn't have any desire to win. See how beautiful the other party is, and the next second she was captured by the other party. Magic Eye's flowing blade. Hancock walked up to the deck at this time, pointed at the blade, arrogantly. 9 Snake Island does not allow any man to approach, even you, but I'm close. What should I do? Liu Ren shrugged, and said with a very indifferent expression, any man who approaches the island of 9 snakes will be punished. Hancock finished the sentence domineeringly, and then moved his hair infinitely. For the sake of such a beautiful concubine body, do you want to surrender? My Empress, I surrender. Nami was the first to reverse, shouting at Hancock with enthusiasm in her eyes. Nicole Robin also looked at Hancock with an idiot, and became Hancock's little girl. Hancock originally had an enchanting beauty, and after eating sweet fruits, she had the ability to charm others. Even a woman can't resist Hancock's beauty, but this is only for the two ordinary people, Nami and Nicole Robin. As for the two generals, Ryubana, Wang Yuan and Qing Pheasant, and even Lao Sha, they were not affected. Why, you guys, don't you think your concubine is not beautiful? Hancock began to show off her beauty in front of Ryubana again. Fortunately, everyone is still the same. Lao Sha is now under the control of Ryubana's illusion, so naturally he won't be hit. Wang Yuan and Qing Pheasant, as a figure of the admiral's level, even if one is wretched and one is lazy, his willpower is not average. It will not be so easily dealt with as for Ryubana. It was hardly affected in any way. Hancock, put away your set, it's useless. Liu Ren shook his head and laughed. This made Hancock feel a kind of frustrated annoyance. There are people in the world who have resisted her beauty and are indifferent to her beauty, and there is not one. Just as Hancock was about to continue to take the next step, she was very dazed to find that she had a flower in front of her eyes and appeared in a very strange desert. What happened? Isn't the concubine body on the windless sea? How come you come to this desert in a blink of an eye? In a daze, Hancock reacted to something, and she turned her incredible gaze to Ryubana on the opposite side. All of this must be the magic eye's tactics. Hancock's face showed a look of extreme dread. She stared at Ryubana and drew her eyes. Magic eye Ryubana, where is this? What did you do? This place is called the starting ball space, and you don't understand it? Liu Ren shrugged and replied lightly, you don't have to be nervous, I just want to make a deal with you. It's a pity that my concubine never makes a deal. A concubine can get everything by her own beauty, Hancock said coldly. Immediately after Hancock's fruit ability was activated, a huge pink heart-shaped energy body was pulled out, and based on this, a large number of pink arrows were shot toward Liu Bian. Anyone who is shot by those arrows will be directly petrified. Liu Ren smiled lightly, without dodge or dodge. The eyes in his pupils switched to reincarnation eyes. The power of the hungry ghost AO was used, and all the arrows were absorbed in a blink of an eye. Nani? Hancock changed in disguise at this moment. Her arrogance finally disappeared, and a look of shock appeared on her face. Is this the magic eye flow blade? Even her fruit power can be swallowed. What a mysterious and powerful method. Now, can we talk about it? Liu Bian said with a slight smile at Hancock. What do you want to talk about? Hancock was silent for a while before reluctantly accepting Liu's proposal. Looking at Liu and asked, I'm studying domineering recently. I know that many of you on Nine Snake Island are domineering, so I want those who are domineering to have a discussion with me and let me feel domineering personally. Of course, all the research on domineering and so on is all bullshit, but it's just an excuse for doing domineering. What a ridiculous request, Hancock said a little angrily. How did you say so embarrassingly about such nonsense? Then what can you bring to your concubine? Hancock asked a little bit irritably. I can erase the humiliation mark on your back permanently. Liu Bian offered a price that Hancock couldn't refuse. Don't look at Hancock's prestige now. The titles of the world's most beautiful woman, the 7 Marshalseas under kings, the Emperor of the Daughter Kingdom, and so on are all very resounding, a well-deserved figure on the sea. But in fact, Hancock has an unknown and tragic past. The 3 of their sisters were once slaves to the Draco. On the backs of the 3 of their sisters, there are the marks of slaves under the stigma of the celestial dragon. That was a huge humiliation that they couldn't directly look at in their entire lives. Therefore, every time Hancock took a bath, he would set up a national martial law battle and fabricated the lie that the eyes behind him can petrify people in order to cover up that humiliating past. But now, this secret, the ultimate secret that was carefully hidden by her, has been revealed. The shock in Hancock's heart can be imagined. What are you talking about? Hancock was obviously flustered, and his voice started to tremble. Hancock, I didn't mean anything. Don't you still understand it? I brought you to this place deliberately to keep your secret. I have such a huge handle as you in my hand, and my strength is far above you. If I want to have any non-distractions with you, would I still negotiate with you so hard? These 2 sentences in a row made Hancock a little shaken. Yes, this man is right. Judging from the situation in front of him, no matter what this person wants to do to him, he cannot resist. This person does not need to be so patient and persuading. Chapter 380. This is the biggest secret of the concubine body. After the concubine body formed the 9 snake pirates, all the insiders have been killed. How did you know? After Hancock was silent for a long time, he asked Liu Bian in a deep voice. She knew that there was no point in continuing to conceal it. There is a saying in our hometown that there is no impermeable wall in the world. As long as what has happened, no matter how you hide it, it will eventually be known. The only difference is the time. Liu Ren shrugged, and sent Hancock with 2 very pretentious sentences, and Hancock didn't ask any more questions as expected. After she was silent for a while again, she made a decision, took off her clothes, and turned around. The huge slave mark on the back is so shocking. Magic eye. Liu Bian, you can do it, Hancock said to Liu Bian. Liu Bian, Lady Empress, I didn't tell you to undress, did I? With Liu Bian's excellent experience and domineering blessing, he can be treated through his clothes. However, considering the reminder that the Empress does not actually need to take off her clothes at all, it is very likely that she will be beaten to death by the Empress, so Liu Bian had to shut her mouth. Hancock, I may be a little rude next, I need to touch your body, but Liu Bian still greeted Hancock. It doesn't matter, do it. Hancock gritted his teeth. Liu Bian stretched out his hand and put his palm on Hancock's back, and the power of yin and yang evacuation was activated to act on that brand in the blink of an eye. The brand disappeared, and Hancock's smooth and lubricated back finally sees the sky again after many years. That's it. Liu Bian clapped his hands and used Bing Dun's power to condense a mirror, which was suspended behind Hancock. Hancock looked in the mirror, his eyes widened, and the whole person was suddenly stiff, as if he had seen the most incredible things in the world. A few seconds later, 2 lines of tears flowed from the Empress's eyes. This extremely arrogant woman cried so pitifully at this moment. The magic eye is flowing. You gave your concubine a second life, and the concubine doesn't know how to repay you. Immediately afterwards, Hancock's attitude towards Liu Bian completely changed. It was a big change of 180 degrees. She looked at Liu Bian with excitement and said, "It's just a matter of hand. There is no repayment. As long as you remember the transaction between you and me, it's fine, Liu Ren said to Hancock lightly. For Liu Bianjun, you may really be just a small effort, but for the concubine body, it is a kind of recreation. The concubine body must repay the Liu Bianjun anyway, Hancock insisted. I'll talk about it later, I just want to study the domineering. Liu Bian didn't talk to Hancock about repaying or not repaying. Anyway, he was about to leave soon. This is no problem, I will call all the domineering people on Nine Snake Island right away, Hancock said without any hesitation. Then, let's start with you first. Liu Bian hooked Hancock. If this is Mr. Liu Bian's request, you should do it yourself, Hancock said, and then rushed towards Liu Bian with a sway because Liu Bian explained that he wanted to study domineering. Hancock did not use the power of sweet fruit, but only used armed domineering to fight Liu Bian. As a result, there is no need to say more. Liu Bian almost didn't have much effort, and he defeated Hancock. Mr. Liu Bian is really amazing. He's the most powerful person my concubine has ever seen. Hancock made no secret of his admiration for Liu Bian. Okay Hancock, I guess everyone is waiting anxiously. Let's go back. Liu Ren ignored Hancock's compliment, with a thought, took Hancock out of the starting space. Chapter 203 Iron Fist Corpse Punch was interrupted by a punch. Where's Lord Snake G? Hey, you guys, what exactly did Demon Eye Liu Bian do to Lord Snake G? Where did you get Lord Snake G? Entrance to Hydra Island. The members of the Nine Snakes and Pirates found that the Empress disappeared suddenly. All of them were frightened and angry. Unable to understand what method did that magic eye Liu Bian use to make Lord Snake G disappear silently, not to mention the ordinary pirates of the Nine Snake Pirates, even the two generals of Wang Yuan and Qing Pheasant, at this moment, are also confused. They were domineering and could not perceive what was going on, and even now, I can't even notice the existence of Demon Eye Liu Bian and Hancock. It seems that these two people have completely disappeared between heaven and earth. Is it the power of space? Both the yellow ape and the green pheasant frowned in thought. During the first battle on the Sky Island, they had all seen the ability of Demon Eye Liu Bian to open space doors. And they also saw the ability of Demon Eye Liu Bian to people into different dimensions. But no matter what kind of ability mentioned above, there are traces to follow. How is it like it is now, without a trace? Huh? In the next moment, everyone felt a flower in front of them again. The demonic eyes Liu Bian and Empress Hancock, who had mysteriously disappeared without a trace, reappeared like ghosts. Master Snake G, are you okay? Master Snake G, what happened just now? Chapter 381. The people of the Nine Snakes and Pirates gathered one after another and asked about Hancock. I'll retreat, my concubine is fine. Hancock waved his hand, drank away the others around him, then immediately waved his hand, and issued an order. Notify everyone in Nine Snake Island, get ready, and welcome Master Liu Bian. Everyone stayed. As soon as this was said, men are never allowed to set foot on the island of Nine Snake. Why did Lord Snake G disappear mysteriously for a while, then suddenly changed her temper, thinking of all these people looking at Liu Ren angrily and puzzledly? What did this person do to Lord Snake G? Master Snake G, the rules of Nine Snake Island never allow men to set foot, you know. A high-ranking pirate group immediately said to Hancock in a deep voice, are you going to question your concubine's decision? Hancock scolded mercilessly. Of course ordinary men can't set foot on Nine Snake Island, but Liu Bianjun is not an ordinary man. Liu Bianjun is an exception. The female emperor has always ruled dictatorially on Nine Snake Island, and no one can disobey her orders. Although everyone still had great doubts about this order, it was still carried out under the power of the Empress. Mr. Liu Bian, except you, the other men on your boat cannot enter the island of Nine Snakes. Please forgive me, Hancock said to Liu Bian again with a trace of apology. Liu Ren shrugged. It's okay. Immediately after Liu Bian took Nami and Nicole Robin, they boarded the Empress's ship and followed the Empress to the island of Nine Snakes. Nami looked around curiously on the boat, looking at the unique customs of Nine Snake Island. She was extremely excited. Master Liu Bian deserves to be Master Liu Bian, and he managed the Empress in such a short period of time. Nami couldn't help but think in admiration in her heart, as if there is nothing in this world that Master Liu Bian can't do. The news that a man was about to be ushered in on Nine Snake Island quickly spread to every corner, causing an uproar across the entire Nine Snake Island. Countless people were talking enthusiastically, and there were even a lot of people leaning on their heads along the way. The residents of Nine Snake Island have never seen a man. Do you dare to believe what a man looks like? In fact, Liu Bian is very curious about how the people in this unique place like Nine Snake Island multiply their offspring. It's just that this kind of problem can only be left in my heart because he was still in a hurry. Liu Ren declined the Empress's kindness to host a banquet to entertain him, but asked the Empress to gather the domineering people on the island as soon as possible before long. A group of bikini girls lined up in front of Liu Bian. Okay. Come one by one. Liu Bian was like an emperor choosing a concubine, standing in front of all the girls, choosing one by one. Next, a girl walked in front of Liu Bian. Boom, fisted down. Next, boom, next, boom. One girl after another took turns to be blown up by Liu Bian. Robin, does Master Liu Bian have a tendency to abuse? Nami looked down in a cold sweat and couldn't help but whisper to Nicole Robin. This, Nicole Robin also squeezed out a look of embarrassment on his face, and wanted to explain but couldn't explain it. Maybe Master Liu Bian has his own intentions. Within 10 minutes of effort, all the girls were ravaged by Liu Bian. And he got dozens of domineering rewards as he wished, although each of them is not too domineering, but dozens of them are superimposed on each other, which cannot be underestimated. After finishing the main business, Liu Bian did not delay any more on the island of Nine Snake. He said goodbye to the Empress and continued to set off on the road after capturing a real Sea King to act as a boatman in the windless zone. The sailing speed really increased. Nami finally understood why Liu Bian-sama had to turn a corner and ran to Nine Snake Island. When time was so tight, it turned out to be to capture the Neptune-class heroes. For why she went to the little girl from Ho-Ho family in Nine Snake Island, Nami said she didn't know. After handing the ship to Lao Shan and they watched, Liu Bian once again entered the divine power space, took out the sweet fruit from the Empress, and absorbed it. The corresponding sublimation of his yin chakra occurred, although the magnitude is not very large. But Liu Bian does not dislike it. The accumulation of small things is not. You can't expect every devil fruit to bring about a big transformation. It would become too simple to become stronger. As for the domineering he drew from Nine Snake Island, it was naturally the priority to choose the domineering of seeing and hearing. It can be seen that not everyone has the domineering of seeing and hearing, so this time on the Nine Snake Island and his party, in addition to seeing and hearing, the domineering and domineering has been enhanced. Liu Bian also received the reward of armed domineering. As for the Overlord, there is none after all. This kind of domineering is relatively rare. The entire Nine Snake Island has only the female emperor. And for the reward of the female emperor, Liu Bian chose sweet fruits instead of domineering. After experimenting, the armed color domineering can indeed add a certain degree of bonus to physical skills, but for Liu Bian, the bonus effect is almost negligible. Probably the only meaning of Convection Blade is that he can explode those with natural abilities even more at will in the future. Although he didn't work hard before hammering, Master Liu Bian, it's spreading in the sea now, and Marshal Sengoku has left Malin Vander. Lieutenant General Karp, who had come out to suppress Kato and Bigman before, also suddenly disappeared. And it is very likely that they left Marin Vando together. Kato and Bigman took the opportunity to advance to Malin Vando in one fell swoop, but they stopped abruptly for unknown reasons. On the way to the promised island, Miss Friday also brought the latest information on the sea. Okay, I see, you should withdraw first. Lao Shad waved his hand casually and sent Miss Friday away. Unlike others, the whereabouts of warring states and Karp, others are just guessing, not sure, but Liu Bian and them are very clear. Chapter 382. The warring states must be like them. Also on the way to the appointment, the only thing that is not clear is that Kato and the others were so high profile when the warring states were there, but as soon as the warring states left, the two of them died together. What Liu Bian naturally wouldn't know is that this was actually just because the steel bones showed up empty. Yes, it just showed up, did not even do it. Kato and the ant only saw Gangakwang's appearance, so they didn't dare to continue making times. They stopped temporarily and confronted Gangakwang far away. Both of them were big pirates in the Loxera, and naturally they knew the terrifying strength of Gangbone Kong. This is enough to single out a monster of the Four Emperors level pirate group. Furthermore, in addition to the strength of Gangakong, there is also the identity of Gangakong, which is different from the Warring States period. He is the commander-in-chief of the Navy. To be more specific, Gangakong works in the world government, and works in the holy place of Mary Joa. This is beyond the Navy level. In addition to the Navy, it also represents the world government. Kato sometimes dared to attack the Navy, but they never dared to attack the world government. That's why Kato and the others didn't dare to act rashly, but under the attention of the whole world, as the Four Emperors, they couldn't retreat so easily, so they had to confront Gangakwang first anyway. Steel Bone Kong is a member of the world government, and it is impossible to be permanently stationed at Marin Fander. After Steel Bone Kong is gone, he can continue. By the way, Lao Shak, in addition to the other 4 emperors, you also have to pay attention to the intelligence of the Revolutionary Army. Without thinking and analyzing the movements of Kato, Ryubana suddenly spoke to Lao Shak. His current chakras with 7 attributes, except for the wind escape chakras, have all completed the sublimation and transformation. Only the fruit of the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dorag, was left with his Super 6 Paths plan. The magic eye is flowing. Do you also want to overthrow the rule of the world government? Seeing that Liu Ren wanted to contact the Revolutionary Army, Wang Yuan and Queen Pheasant immediately became nervous. A person with such a terrifying demon eye and blade, if he really joined the Revolutionary Army, it would definitely be a nightmare for the world government. However, they have never found that Ryubana has this behavior tendency after spending so many days on the Ryubana boat. Although this person's series of actions have repeatedly pierced the sky, they were not deliberately aimed at the Navy. Strictly speaking, the Navy was actually the first to attack the magic guy. Who knows the future? Liu Ren just shrugged nonchalantly. The expressions of Wang Yuan and Queen Pheasant started to look a little ugly. This is not a very good signal. With the blessing of the new Sea King boatman, the sailing speed is very impressive. Although it took a few days to go to 9 Snake Island, Ryubana and the others arrived at the agreed place a week in advance. Master Ryubana, this is it. Nami took out the map and reconfirmed it again, and said to Ryubana. Ryubana subconsciously used the domineering experience in color, and first scanned the entire island, and found that it was actually a deserted island with no people. However, there is a temporary base on the island. Warring States and Carp, as well as a few followers, are already waiting in the base. Lao Shak, stop at the beach. Liu Ren gave Lao Shak casually to him, and Lao Shak did not compromise on Ryubana's order and parked the ship on the edge of this uninhabited island. Let's go. Wang Yuan, Queen Pheasant, after so many days, you must also miss your marshal, right? Liu Ren turned his head and glanced at the 2 generals whizzing. There was nothing nonsense about the 2 of them, and they jumped directly from the boat, and Nami, Nicole Robin, Lao Shang and others followed close behind. After a short while, he arrived at the temporary base of the Warring States period, Marshal of the Warring States period. The magic eye is coming. When the guards outside the base saw Liu Jian, their expressions changed, and they hurried into the base to report, the magic eye is coming. Warring States and Carp were also shocked, and their faces showed solemn expressions after they looked at each other. There was no nonsense, and they all got up and walked out of the base. Sure enough, they saw a group of people on the opposite side rushing towards them. The one at the head is a young man who is extremely young, exactly the same as the one in the photo, and is undoubtedly a magic eye. Beside Ryubana, there are the navigator named Nami, Nicole Robin, the son of the devil, and Crocodile, the former king. Kiwuhei. Everyone is in the Navy's intelligence data. In addition to this, they are Wang Ape and Green Pheasant. These 2 people seem to be in good condition, and they are still maintaining their decency at the very least. This makes the Warring States 2 people unable to help but breathe a sigh of relief. I just don't know why, but General aka Anu is not there in this kind of doubt. Ryubana came to the front of Warring States and Carp, Marshal of the Warring States, finally met. Liu Ren said to the Warring States with a smile on his face, I don't know, I thought these 2 were old friends. The magic eye is flowing edge. I don't expect this kind of meeting, the Warring States period said blankly. On the contrary, I am looking forward to it, Liu Ren said meaningfully. What he said is not a lie. A strong like the Warring States period can be used at will, whether it is fruit ability or domineering, plus a strong like Carp. Ryubana really looked forward to it. Magic eyes, General Sakaski? Carp asked in a deep voice. At this time Liu Ren didn't speak either. The eyes in his pupils switched to the god's writing round eyes, and the red dog was directly released. You bastard. As soon as the red dog was released, he rushed towards Liu Ren with a roar, but was kicked over by Liu Ren casually. Magic eye Ryubana, you can't be so presumptuous. Carp jumped out when he saw this, and struck Ryubana with a fist. Tekken Carp. Chapter 383. Ryubana smiled disapprovingly, and shook his shoulders, and fisted him in the same way. Under the cross of fists click, the sound of bone fracture suddenly sounded. Chapter 204. Killing the Admiral. The Warring States period. Well, along with the sound of broken bones, Carp also let out a muffled sound and his body shook suddenly, and the person was directly beaten by Ryubana and retreated several strides. Click. Even the ground was forcibly stamped by Carp with a few cracks, which shows how much impact Carp has received. What? Demon Eye rushing blade punched Lieutenant General Carp back. Magic eye Ryubana, he fisted with Lieutenant General Carp and defeated Lieutenant General Carp. The Navy eyes on the scene all burst fiercely. revealing an expression of unbelievableness. The pair of iron fists of Lieutenant General Karp is simply the most powerful weapon of the Navy headquarters. Lox and Roger were all beaten by this pair of fists, but now, the magic eye rushed the blade and knocked Karp back. How can it be? After Karp stood firm, his face was also shocked. Not only was he defeated in that blow, but the phalanx of his right hand was also interrupted by Ryubana, that magic eye and blade physique, unexpectedly so powerful. The three generals, the Marshal of the Warring States period, the Yellow Ape Green Pheasant, and the Red Dog, were also greatly stimulated. They knew that Demon Eye Ryubana was very strong, but they didn't expect that the opponent's conjoined body would be so strong. How can it be repaired? I killed you. There was another burst of shout, but the Red Dog, who was kicked over by Ryublade, rushed over again with a roar of convection. A figure flashed past, but the Warring States period directly blocked the path of the Red Dog. Enough, Sakazuki. But the Marshal of the Warring States, I said enough. Under the strong intervention of the Warring States period, the aka dog only temporarily stopped, but the eyes he looked at Ryubana were still full of hatred and murder. Okay, Demon Eye Ryubana. Come in and talk about it, the Warring States period said sternly to Ryubana at this time. It's better to be respectful than fate. Liu Ren shrugged. The group went to the interior of the temporary base together with the Warring States period. After the two sides were seated separately, Liu Ren didn't have any nonsense, and he directly said, Marshal of the Warring States period, where's the devil fruit? I want, bring things. Warring States gave a casual command, and soon a subordinate walked over holding a box and opened it in front of Liu Ren. Liu Ren glanced around and found that it was really a box full of devil fruits. Marshal of the Warring States, you actually did a deal with me honestly? This is really beyond my expectation, Ryubana said with a smile. Don't look at the Warring States deeply. The look of the Warring States remained unchanged. He was unmoved. He just helped his glasses and said, I have already expressed my sincerity. Now it's up to you, the Magic Eye. I don't know what you did to Kuzan and the others, but obviously you made some tricks on them, limiting their abilities. As long as you lift this restriction on them, you can take away these devil fruits. The Marshal of the Warring States period is a refreshing man. Liu Ren said he didn't say any nonsense, and he actually lifted the gossip seal on the three generals in front of everyone at that moment. The three people, the Yellow Ape Green Pheasant and the Red Dog, immediately felt that their fruit abilities were back. Things went so well that the Warring States could not help but be stunned. He originally thought that it would take a lot of effort and difficult mediation to let Demon Eye Flowblade lift the restrictions on the three generals. After all, once the restrictions on the three generals were lifted, the Navy would suddenly have three more generals combat power coupled with the Sengoku and Karp. This lineup is already terrifying, extremely unfavorable to the Magic Eye Ryubana. Even this battle is more than enough to destroy a 4 Emperor-level pirate group, no matter who it is. Wouldn't it be so easy to lift the restrictions of the three generals? And more, Ryubana is not a fool. There is only one reason for him to do this. The other party is confident. Very confident, even facing the lineup of three generals plus marshals plus general lieutenant generals at the same time. There is enough confidence to deal with it. Ha ha ha. At this time, the Red Dog sneered. His face was extremely hot, and magma began to emerge from his body. Magic Eyes, you are seeking your own death? Wang Yuan and Queen Pheasant also started to move around, although all three of them were defeated in the hands of Ryubana on the Sky Island. At that time, the Green Pheasant only used the 6 Navy styles to confront the enemy, not the true strength of the three generals. Coupled with the fact that there are still Warring States and Karp now, it may not be impossible to fight together. Even the Warring States did not stop it. If the Demon Eye Ryubana could be eliminated directly here, then there would be no need to activate the Demon Slaying Order. After all, Tu Moling's reputation is not very good. With the three generals getting ready to go, the atmosphere on the scene suddenly became extremely heavy. Nami and Nicole Robin both felt an unprecedented pressure. Chapter 384. Friendly reminder, only Ryubana was still so calm. He was still sitting so lazily, with Erlang's legs tilted up. I didn't kill people before, just because not killing people can bring greater benefits, but this does not mean that I, Uchiha, will not kill people. As soon as Ryubana said this, the Warring States and the three generals felt a chill unconsciously. At that moment, although the words of Demon Eye Ryubana were calm, the aura was so strong that even the Navy Marshal of the Warring States period was deadly. The Warring States period discovered that he still looked down on the Magic Eye and lied, and this person might be stronger than he thought, more dangerous. The Warring States gave birth to a little bit of careful thinking, but he immediately eliminated it. It was really the oppression that Mo and Ryubana brought to him was too great. And then imagine that the three generals were all planted on this person. and even Carp was beaten back by this person. The Warring States period carefully pondered it, and felt that it was better to be safer according to the original plan. They left immediately after completing the transaction, and then launched a demon-killing order, razing this small island to the ground and exploding it. At that time, even if the magic Ryuban has great abilities, it will not be possible to survive. Even if you don't get bombed to death, you will definitely be drowned alive. What a joke. How can the justice of our navy be trampled on by people like you? But the red dog burst out, and the magma on his fist gushed out. Spitfire, he directly exploded blazing magma, and hit Ryuban with such imposing momentum. Stop it, Sasuke. Warring States frowned. An extremely unpleasant feeling suddenly hit his heart, and he suddenly screamed at the red dog. However, it was still a step too late. The red dog had already taken action against Ryublade snapped. Ryuban immediately clapped his hands. Done. Click. A large number of wooden branches broke out of the soil, forming a thick and strong wooden escape in front of Ryuban. Stopped the red dog's fire breathing as much as possible. Nami and Nicole Robin were guarded behind. Then his instantaneous ability, as fast as a ghost, bypassed Mudan's defenses and appeared in front of the red dog. At this time, the riding wheel eyes in Ryuban's pupils turned directly, and the red dog was directly controlled by an illusion. Immediately after Ryuban felt a handful of kunai, he shook his shoulder and wiped it directly at the neck of the red dog. Laugh. Hot blood splashed out. The red dog, controlled by the illusion, does not dodge or dodge. As if stupid, in the next moment, his head flew straight up, flew far away, and fell to the ground with a snap thump, followed by the headless corpse of the red dog, also fell to the ground. In a sudden, the scene suddenly became deadly silent, so deadly that everyone's heart beating could be heard. Whether it's the Warring States period or Carp, the remaining two generals, and the two sisters of Nami, they almost stared their eyes out looking at the headless corpse of the red dog on the ground with an expression that looked like a ghost. He couldn't believe anything. One of the three Navy generals, General Akadog, was actually killed, or was it killed by a face-to-face? How is this kind of thing possible? The General Red Dog is a natural fruit-capable person, who can elementize himself and be immune to any attacks other than domineering. This kind of person is simply immortal. But now, it was so easy to be killed. Why doesn't General Akainu elementize his body? Why? This is something that everyone cannot understand. Sasuke, after a few seconds, the shocked, sorrowful, and unacceptable roar of the Warring States period rang out on the scene. As if he didn't dare to accept the reality, a vigorous step rushed in front of the red dog, and after checking it again, he was convinced that the red dog was really dead. Sasuke was actually killed. Wang Yuan also murmured with his eyes widened, unable to accept such a scene at all. The green pheasant was also struck by lightning. I couldn't believe it. Asshole, what did you do? Carp also roared, rushed towards Ryuban again, and hit Ryuban with a fierce fist. Kapu, don't be impulsive. Warring States' complexion changed wildly, and he yelled at Carp. The deaths of the Akadog were all revealed weird, which made the Warring States suddenly jealous of the convection blade to an infinite degree. How could he dare to let Carp commit a risk? If Carp is also killed, it will be a loss that the Navy cannot afford. What's more, in terms of personal feelings, Warring States and Carp are also good friends who have lived and died together for many years. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385. Chidori, Ryuban doesn't dodge or dodge, just a thought. Crackling, a terrifying web of thunder and lightning suddenly fell from the sky and slashed directly towards Carp. Under this circumstance, Carp's physique could not be avoided even if it was a bull, and was directly turned over by that piece of power grid to the ground. Thump. Carp also fell to the ground. Kapu, Lieutenant General Carp, the two generals and the Warring States all rushed towards Carp in shock, but then he was pleasantly surprised to find that Carp was only ashamed of being electrocuted, and temporarily lost his mobility. Nothing more. Did not lose his life. This made the people of the Warring States period couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Cap, I and Luffy are friends, and Ace is also friends. For the sake of your two grandchildren, I won't kill you. Ryuban's voice rang at this time. He glanced at Carp condescendingly, and said lightly, Luffy? Ace? How can it be repaired? How could they know a demon like you? Carp clenched his fists and screamed. Ryuban didn't pay attention to Carp. His eyes swept across the faces of Wang Ape, Green Pheasant and Warring States. If you really want to die, I welcome it, asshole. The fists of the Warring States period were suddenly clenched, and the nails went deep into the flesh, a face looked terrifying, and the whole person began to tremble. It was abruptly infuriated by Liu Bian. No one has ever threatened him face to face like this. Wang Yuan and Qing Fezhen both clenched their fists, with bloodshot eyes in their eyes, staring at Jiang Chang with cannibalistic gazes. But no matter who it was, even though it was about to split apart with anger, no one dared to act rashly. Demon Eye Ryokan killed General Ekadogu and knocked down Lieutenant General Karp. The strength was far beyond their expectations and beyond their ability to deal with. Warring States has no doubt that if they really act rashly, I'm afraid they won't be able to get out of this island at all. On this point, he had already personally fought against Liu Bian, and had witnessed the yellow ape and green pheasant who had the skill of Liu Bian many times, and he was convinced even the Warring States period, who had just met Liu Jian for 10 minutes, was able to clearly judge from the strength that Liu Jian had just overpowered Akagu and Karp. How can it be repaired? What kind of monster is Demon Eye Liu Bian? When did such a monster appear on the sea? Warring States roared wildly in his heart. Marshal of the Warring States period, don't be impulsive. We shouldn't fight with a demon eye now. Yeah, Marshal of the Warring States period, this time we are not prepared enough. We should go back and talk about it first. Wang Yuan and Qing Pheasant were afraid that the Warring States would not know the true power of Liu Bian and would do anything irreversible, so they persuaded them in the ears of Warring States. Let's go. The face of the Warring States period changed from blue to red several times, and finally said with endless humiliation, gritted his teeth at the moment, Wang Ape and Red Dog, one supported Karp, who was in a paralyzed state, and the other holding the body of Red Dog, quickly followed the Warring States period and walked out of the base. A very wise choice. Liu Bian's light and fluttering voice sounded from behind, almost making Zhang Guo couldn't help running up and fighting Liu Bian desperately. But in the end, the Warring States still held back this with great perseverance, and left without looking back with everyone. And Liu Bian, like a okay person, began to walk to the box of devil fruits nonchalantly, and began to check his trophies. Looking at the odd-shaped fruit, filled with a box, Liu Bian was still very satisfied. Yes, the harvest is not bad. With a faint smile, Liu Ren collected all the devil fruits with a magic pupil technique. Chapter 205 Warring States, you are looking for death? Wow! So many devil fruits. I have never seen so many devil fruits. Nami stood beside Ryubana, looking at the devil fruit full of boxes. Her face was also full of exclamation. In the world of pirates, the devil fruit is definitely one of the most precious things. One is enough to create a strong man, and one is enough to cause a storm. Putting them together like this, the visual impact is absolutely extraordinary. Nami, today's harvest is good. You have been with me for a long time, and I will not treat you badly. Liu Bian looked at the way Nami's eyes were shining, then smiled and said to Nami, you can pick one of these devil fruits at will. Anyway, the devil fruit is only used to devour energy for Liu Bian to increase his chakra, the power of the devil fruit that everyone on the sea values most. Liu Bian doesn't care in this case. It is such a big harvest, and it is nothing to give Nami a devil fruit. Really, Master Liu Bian? Nami was surprised and delighted. She couldn't believe her ears. Such a precious thing. Master Liu Bian actually wants to share it with himself. Master Liu Bian is so kind to himself. Nami really wanted to hug Ryubana-sama and kiss her so hard. Nicole Robin looked at this scene with a smile on her lips. She has been fleeing in the sea since she was 8 years old. For so many years, she has been accustomed to all kinds of cruelty, betrayal, and ruthlessness. Chapter 386. But this is not the day Nicole Robin wants, or that this kind of day is not what anyone wants. But Nicole Robin is the only survivor of O'Hara, the son of a demon wanted by the Navy, and the only scholar in the world who can interpret the text of history. She can only survive so much struggling among the various forces. But all this has changed since I got on the boat of Master Liu Bian. Since then, Nicole Robin has a big tree that can shelter from the wind and rain, and the family she has lost since she was a child. A person who can even give the devil fruit to a sailor without hesitation really makes Nicole Robin feel at ease like never before. Nicole Robin is really grateful to God for letting her meet Master Liu Bian. But Mr. Ryublade, then Nami was upset again. We don't seem to have a picture book of devil fruit. If you don't have an illustrated book, you don't know the ability corresponding to the devil fruit, then it really becomes a blind box. It's okay if it has a powerful ability, but if it has a normal animal line, Nami said that she really can't accept it. She is a lively and beautiful girl, turning into an animal or something. It feels terrible to think about it. Then let's wait for the illustrated book, Liu Ren said disapprovingly. Anyway, for such a thing as a pictorial book, just casually tell Lao Shat with the ability of the Baroque Work Agency, It is not very difficult to get the illustrated book. After the transaction, Nami greeted Liu Rinnegan, and then took Robin to begin surveying this small island draw map of the world, but Nami's dream. She had already told Ryubana about this dream, and it was also supported by Ryubana. Ryubana nodded, and didn't say much. While Liu Rinnegan was waiting to hover on the island, the Warring States team had already taken their old and sick aboard the warship and left the island. Inside a very luxurious and quiet room, the Warring States, Kapu, Green Pheasant and Wang Yuan sat face to face. Everyone's complexion is extremely solemn, and it is hard to see the extreme. The deal to redeem 3 admirals of the Navy ended with the death of an admiral. This is a great shame and a great frustration for the Navy. Neither Sengoku Carp nor the remaining 2 generals could accept it. I didn't expect Demon Eye Ryubana to be so terrible. In the quiet room, the Warring State sighed in a deep voice, still with an extremely jealous look on his face. On the unnamed island, how Ryubana made the Red Dog not enter the elementalization, and killed the Red Dog Thunder? He is still puzzled. The Magic Eye's tactics were too far-reaching and unpredictable. The Marshal of the Warring States period, the strength of Demon Eye Ryubana is much stronger than the intelligence we have collected before, the Green Pheasant said to the Warring States with an extremely solemn expression. I have never seen such a terrible person in my life. On Sky Island, when General Wang Yuan and General Red Dog went to rescue me, the 3 of us had actually joined forces to deal with Demon Eye Ryubana, but he was easily defeated by him. He defeated the 3 of us teaming up, and the time it took was absolutely no more than 10 minutes. The atmosphere in the private room became more and more depressing. Both Sengoku and Carp opened their mouths wide, showing extreme shock, and couldn't believe their ears. Originally, the Yellow Ape and the Red Dog were planted in Ryubana's hands one after another. Although the Navy was surprised, it did not know the specific battle. Everyone subconsciously believes that the Demon Eye rushing blade is either broken individually, or after a hard and fierce battle, or using conspiracy and tricks, etc. But now, the Green Pheasant told them that the Magic Eye Ryubana hardened 3 people at the same time, and it took less than 10 minutes. If this was not said from the mouth of the Queen Pheasant, the Warring States period would definitely not believe it. After all, this kind of thing is too unbelievable. This is a person far more terrifying than Brox, Roger, and the 4 emperors, Carp exclaimed in surprise. He, who has always been a fool, has also become more serious than ever. Such a terrible character, logically speaking, should have been famous all over the world, but why have we never heard of him before? Also, why can Demon Eye Ryubana possess so many abilities at the same time by one person, and how does he do it? Demon Eye Ryubana blackmailed a total of 40 devil fruits from the Navy this time, but a strong man like him no longer needs such things as devil fruits at all. What is his purpose? One question after another was thrown out by everyone one after another, and everyone had no clue about every question. Marshal of the Warring States period, when Demon Eye Rushing Blade challenged Whitebeard, Wang Yuan and I both saw him use my frozen fruit power. So is it possible that Demon Eye Ryubana has some ability to copy other people's abilities to himself? The Green Pheasant immediately followed, with a solemn expression of his own speculation. As soon as these words came out, the whole room became quiet again, and the 2 of Warring States and Carp looked at each other, and both saw the face of the other party becoming extremely solemn. Green Pheasant, your speculation is very bold. I have never heard of this kind of thing. The Warring States Department helped his glasses and said in a deep voice, this can explain why Demon Eye Ryubana can possess so many abilities alone, and it can also explain why he has collected so many devil fruits. The Green Pheasant said in a deep voice, if this is the case, the Demon Eye Rushing Blade will completely break the law of the sea. The Warring States period said with great fear shattering. While several people in the Warring States period were discussing Ryubana, the originally calm sea suddenly began to churning up one after another. One naval battleship after another just emerged from below the surface of the sea. Looking around, a full 10 ships, arranged in a row of arcs, formed an encirclement, and surrounded the unnamed island where Ryubana was located. These naval battleships were the naval battleships that were personally led by the Warring States and used to launch the decree of killing demons against Ryubana. It's just that before, these warships were all hidden on the bottom of the sea, lurking secretly. After the warships of the Warring States period left the island, the commanders on these warships emerged from below the seabed according to the plan. Chapter 387. At this time, Lieutenant Mold took out a golden telephone bug and directly hit the Marshal of the Warring States period. Blubru, the unique bell of the telephone worm rang, and the Marshal of the Warring States period temporarily interrupted the conversation with the Queen Pheasant and began to answer it. When the Green Pheasant and the Yellow Ape saw this situation, they couldn't help their pupils shrinking slightly. and their expressions were a little serious because what the Marshal of the Warring States brought out was a silver telephone bug. This silver telephone worm is specially designed to answer the golden telephone worm that launched the killing order. Sure enough, the voice of Lieutenant Mole rang from the phone worm. Marshal of the Warring States period, everything is ready. Do you want to launch the killing order? Launch. The Warring States groaned for a moment, and said to Lieutenant Mole in a deep voice, understood, Marshal of the Warring States. Lieutenant Mole also replied in a deep voice, and then the two sides ended the conversation. Marshal of the Warring States period, I don't know who the Navy is going to launch the demon-slaying order this time, but you are actually presiding over it. Wang Yuan asked casually with some curiosity, but after asking, he was done. The Navy is qualified to launch the demon-slaying order, except for the 3 generals, only the Marine Marshal. Before, the 3 major generals were in the hands of Mo and Ryubana. Shouldn't the demon-slaying order be presided over by the Warring States Marshal? This time the demon-slaying order was launched against Demon I Ryubana. The Warring States Marshal said in a deep voice, this person is too dangerous and must be eliminated immediately. In fact, the Warring States period is also very curious about why the magic Ryubana possesses so many abilities at the same time, and I also want Vegapunk to study it carefully. If something is really researched out, it will be of great benefit to strengthening the Navy, but there is no way. The magic eye is too dangerous to kill the Admiral. Such a dangerous person is absolutely not allowed to stay. Get rid of it early to be at ease. What? Demon Eye Rushing Blade? But who would have thought that Wang Yuan and Queen Pheasant's expressions suddenly changed after hearing this? Warring States Marshal, hurry up and stop! Wang Yuan yelled at the Warring States period. The Demon Eye Ryubana possesses special abilities. Not only can he hide others in a different space, but he can also hide himself in a different space. The demon killing order is for him. It's useless at all. What? The Warring States was stunned directly at this time. In his mind he couldn't help but think of the situation where the Demon Eye Rushing Blade released the Red Dog. Is it actually a special ability? Because it was the first time I saw this kind of situation. The Warring States period was not quite clear at that time. After all, neither the Warring States nor Carp have a God's perspective, and I don't know that there is still such an ability as Shenwubi in the world. In addition, the Shanghai Pirates world has all kinds of curious and incredible abilities. Naturally, they can't reverse the principle based on the phenomenon and guess that they are special abilities. Later, the Red Dog was killed and the Warring States took the yellow-aped Green Pheasant to flee. And the 2 generals began to report to the Warring States a series of situations after being captured. How Ryubana released the irrelevant thing like aka Inu had long been completely ignored by everyone, but now after Wang Ape's reminder, the Warring States suddenly realized that it turned out that Demon Eye Ryubana kept the Red Dog in a different space. That would be really bad. Warring States immediately began to call the worm again. After a while, Lieutenant Mole was connected, and the Warring States rushed and said, the action will be stopped immediately. Hurry, and this time the order to kill the devil will be stopped immediately. Lieutenant General Mole heard the extremely anxious tone of the Warring States period, and the cold sweat on his forehead suddenly came out. Marshal of the Warring States period, I have just ordered the demon killing order. Boom boom boom. Immediately afterwards, the roar of artillery fire rang out. Whoosh whoosh, one round after another. It covered the sky densely, covering the unknown island from all directions. Under this roar, the expressions of the Warring States, Carp, and the 2 generals all changed, and the cold sweat on their foreheads also shook down. What happened this time? It was terrible. What sound? Nami, who was rushing towards the coast in the village, was taken aback for a while, subconsciously raised her head and looked up, and she saw a dense array of shells calling towards the island. Nani, both Nami and Nicole Robin's complexion changed drastically with this density of shells. The 2 of them cannot escape seeing that the shells were about to fall on them and blow them into dregs. A voice suddenly rang. Shen Luo Xianteng, whoosh whoosh, those cannonballs all over the sky. With the sound, directly rewinded back, Master Ryubana, Nami and Nicole Robin were overjoyed. Master Ryubana came to rescue them. Immediately afterwards, Nami and Nicole Robin felt that there was a flower in front of them, and before they had time to react, they saw that they had appeared in a vast desert. Crocodile, who had already been surrendered to Master Ryubana, had already been waiting inside. Undoubtedly, it is the starting space of Liu Jian. In this case, the transfer speed of using the divine power is a bit slow, so Ryubana simply transferred these people around him to the initial ball space. Tumoling? Warring States, you are looking for death? A coldness flashed in Ryubana's eyes. You stay here first, I'll deal with it. A few people casually confessed. Liu Jian's body shook, and he disappeared. Chapter 388. Boom boom boom. When Liu Jian entered the space of the starting ball, countless shells had fallen on the nameless island. The entire unknown island was suddenly caught in a fierce bombardment. Looking around, the fire is splattering, the smoke is filled, the earth is shaking, and it is called earth-shattering. The warring states, carp, green pheasant and yellow ape all rushed to the deck, looking at the cruel scene of continuous artillery fire. Each of them held a sigh of relief, staring at the scene stubbornly. It can be said to be extremely nervous. If two Moling really can't kill Demon Eye Liu Bian, then they are equivalent to angering a dangerous lion. Thinking about the fate of the red dog, everyone couldn't help but sweat under this anger. He would really kill people. If all of them are killed by Demon Eye Rushing Blade, then the Navy will be over, and the world will truly be plunged into boundless chaos. Marshal of the Warring States period, the order to kill demons has already begun. What should I do? In the silver telephone worm, the voice of Lieutenant Mole rang. Now that it has started, let's continue. The Warring States gritted his teeth and said to Lieutenant Mole, either the Demon Slayer order will not start, but since it has started, the interruption is meaningless. Once it starts, it will continue indefinitely. Understood. Marshal of the Warring States period, Lieutenant Mole received the order of the Warring States period, and began to lead everyone to execute the demon killing order. One after another, they went to the unknown island one after another. The 10 naval battleships were equipped with enough ammunition, and it was no problem to wipe out the entire island according to the original plan of the Navy. No matter how strong Demon Eye Liu Bian was, he had to kneel here, but the intelligence obtained from the Green Pheasant made this originally perfect plan suddenly become full of loopholes. Green Pheasant, when the Demon Eye Blade releases Sakazuki from a different space. It is a slow process, not an instantaneous action. Maybe, under our fierce artillery attack, he didn't have time to enter a different space. The Warring States eyes stared at the sky full of artillery fire, and said in a deep voice, but everyone knows that this is nothing more than a self-comfort. In the Warring States period, neither the Green Pheasant nor the Yellow Ape spoke. They actually wanted to tell the Warring States period that there was probably more than one special ability that the Demon Eye Liu Bian mastered. The kind of special ability he usually uses is indeed a bit slow, but when he was on the island of Nine Snake, he suspected that he used another kind of special ability, and when I was on the Sky Island, even the black space door was opened. It's just that it can't do anything other than increase the tension now, and neither of the Green Pheasants speaks but at this moment, the expressions of Warring States, Carp and the two generals couldn't help but change, because in the sky beyond the coverage of the artillery fire, a black square suddenly appeared amazingly. It is Ryasuka's Huinquan Hirazaka. Although Warring States had never seen Liu Bian's use of this trick, his pupils couldn't help but shrink severely. This must be because the magic eye Liu Bian's handwriting did not run away. Sure enough, in the next moment, in the dark square, the figure of the magic eye flowing blade flashed out of it, so suspended in the air. Looking down at the Warring States and the others, like a bottle of guts, magic eye's flowing blade, Warring States uttered a whisper like a whisper, and his fists were suddenly clenched. The demon tooling had no effect on the demon eye. What is that? What is this method? Lieutenant Mole gritted his teeth even more. His scalp was numb, and then he shouted at everyone, aim at the magic eye and shoot. Boom boom boom, one after another, the shells hit Liu Bian in such a dense manner, but Liu Bian's pupils had long switched to reincarnation eyes, and he gently stretched out his hand. Shenluo Xian's Hang's power used, and a repulsive force waved away in all directions. All those shells fired, under the action of this repulsive force, exploded directly from a long distance from Liu Bian, and there was no impact on Liu Bian at all. On the contrary, it is like putting fireworks to greet Liu Blade. Immediately after, Liu Bian made a seal with both hands unhurriedly. Shui done. Water dragon bites. Boom boom boom. One after another, huge water columns suddenly burst from the surface of the sea, and all the naval warships flew directly. Nani. A burst of exclamations suddenly sounded immediately afterwards. People turned their backs on their backs. The navies on all warships were swayed by the violent turbulence of the warships, like catkins in a hurricane, being thrown from here to there, and from there to here. Of course, the above is good luck. At least people are still on board. Those with bad luck fell out of the boat one after another, fell into the sea, and was submerged by the endless sea. How can it be repaired? Is this the power of Demon Eye Flowing Blade? The people of the Warring States period changed their expressions, and they were both frightened and angry. But the magic eye Liu Bian could control the sea water, another power against the sky. Those with fruit abilities are all people who have been spurned by the sea, while demon eyes and blades are people who resemble sea gods. How can they fight? Not good. The green pheasant made a decisive judgment at this moment. After all, he is a general, with extraordinary physical skills. Even in the ups and downs of the general turmoil, he can still maintain stability. Chapter 389. Whoosh jumped into the sea from the boat. Both hands slammed into the water surface, and the fruit ability was activated immediately. Ice Age, click. All the seawater was frozen and condensed into ice. Even the huge water column protruding from the sea surface was also frozen. Those naval warships that had been shocked to the ground were finally stabilized, but the Navy soldiers who unfortunately fell from the battleship into the sea were also frozen into ice. They have not been drowned by the sea, but they have been frozen to death by the green pheasants alive. The warring states, Carp and others all saw their eyes cracked, their teeth clenched, and at least 3 achievements of the 10,000 navies were frozen to death. But there is no other way. No one blames the blue pheasant for this, because if the blue pheasant does not shoot in time, all the ships will be overturned by the magic eye and sink to the bottom of the sea. By that time there will not be thousands of people dead, and the Navy is afraid that the entire army will be wiped out. I almost forgot. This is fighting on the sea. It is the home ground of the green pheasant. Liu Ren shrugged, and immediately changed his tactics. With a thought, the power of Shiradeo used whoosh whoosh. One missile after another was shot out by Ryubana out of thin air, and bombarded the 10 warships overwhelmingly. Nanny! Where did these shells come from? Everyone was dumbfounded. You can tell at a glance what is going on with the number of shells that are more advanced than the Navy's weapons. Demon Eye Ryubana turned out to be a failure to transform a person. At this critical moment, General Wang Yuan turned into a ray of light and floated directly into the air. He wanted to use his fruit ability to shoot down those missiles from the sky, but how could Ryubana give Wang Yuan this opportunity? His domineering experience has foreseen where the Wang Yuan will appear. A large number of missiles have already been launched towards there in advance. Boom boom boom. Therefore, Wang Yuan's body had just condensed out of the air, and a few shells exploded directly in front of him, abruptly exploding Wang Yuan into countless fragments, and then fell again. Boom boom boom. At this time, all of the other artillery shells shot by Ryubana fell on the Navy ship without landing. The violent explosion suddenly sounded, the dazzling firelight became a peace, and the billowing smoke covered the sky. All the warships were swallowed by the merciless explosion. There were screams and screams, and they seemed so desperate and helpless at this moment. Pieces of ordinary Navy were blown up to death. Only Lieutenant Mole waited for those powerful lieutenants to support it for a while. After all, the missile fired by Ryubana is simply too advanced compared to the Navy's backward ball. Not only is it more powerful, it also has an automatic tracking function. Coupled with a large number, even the Lieutenant Admiral is very difficult to parry. Not to mention the ordinary Navy. Only people at the level of warring states and Carp can fully deal with a missile rain bombardment. How can it be repaired? The magic eye sloppy? Stop quickly. The warring states period gritted his teeth, his eyes crimson up to the sky, and roared at Liu Jian. At this time, he didn't have any nonsense anymore. The fruit ability was activated, and the person suddenly turned into a giant golden Buddha of more than 50 meters. Suddenly, he slapped Ryubana with a palm to the sky. An extremely fierce shock wave slammed into Ryubana. Those missiles that rushed to the golden Buddha giant also exploded suddenly under the attack of the opponent's shock wave. For people at the level of warring states, the role of Shiradeo in a small area is extremely limited. Shenluo Xianzheng, faced with the attack of the warring states, Liu Ren did not dodge, and also stretched out his hand at the warring states. A shock wave more powerful than that of the golden Buddha giant appeared instantly. The two forces collided fiercely, bursting out a wave of energy to the extreme. The golden Buddha giant shook his body suddenly, and then began to stagger backward. Boom boom boom. Every time he took a step back, he stepped on a huge crack on the ice surface, causing the entire ice surface to shook severely. It took 4 or 5 steps backwards one after another before it reluctantly stopped. His face was already amazed. Is this the power of Demon Eye Ryubana? Warring states thought with shock. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-chi. At this time, the sky full of golden light began to burst toward Ryubana, but the yellow ape, who had already used elementalization to repair his body, began to attack Ryubana with countless golden light attacks. Amazingly, it is one of Wang Yuan's big tricks. Bachi Kaiong Kwayu, if your subordinates are defeated, don't you come out and jump, right? Liu Ren's eyes showed disdain, and his pupils switched to writing round eyes, and turned to Wang Yuan. Not good. Wang Yuan's heart suddenly thumped, and he had a bad feeling after staying on Ryubana's boat for so long. He naturally knew that Ryubana's different pupils corresponded to different abilities at this moment, Seeing Liu Ren suddenly switch his pupils, he knew that the other party wanted to use a powerful ability specifically for himself, but Wang Yuan didn't know exactly what kind of ability to activate, because no one knew how many incredible abilities the demon Eye Liu Bian possessed, and if it is the other routine attacks. Wang Yuan can also foresee some clues through seeing and hearing domineering, so as to take corresponding measures. Can pupil surgery? Chapter 390. Sorry, it's useless to see and hear domineering because the only thing that can be captured by seeing and hearing color domineering is the rotation of Liu Bian's pupils, nothing more. But even if he could only see the movement of Liu Bian's pupils, Wang Yuan didn't dare to be careless at all. He elementized his whole body in an instant to deal with any powerful attacks that the other party may launch. Amaterasu. At the next moment, Liu Bian directly used this open hanging pupil technique on Wang Yuan base. Wang Yuan's body suddenly began to burn with a black flame. Ah! Impossible. How could this be? Wang Yuan suddenly groaned. His face was shocked, but he was elementalized. But why was he still on fire? What kind of sky-defying flame is this? Even light can burn it, as long as it is in sight, it can be burned. This is where Amaterasu is against the sky. Yes, not only some physical objects, even energy. The Amaterasu can also be burned in the theatrical version of Road of the Ninja. Daito said that Amaterasu can burn even with flames, so he is very afraid of this trick. Even if he possesses supernatural power, then the problem is, the natural energy of flame can be burned, and the natural energy of golden light can also be burned. As the burning range of the skylight expanded, Wang Yuan began to utter endless screams. How is this going? Several people in the Warring States period changed wildly using their domineering look and hearing. They can naturally tell that the yellow ape has been elementalized, but they cannot understand why the elementalized body will still be burned by the black flame. Several people couldn't help but gasp. In addition to domineering, there are other ways to harm the elemental body in this world. Demon Eye's flowing blade is too enchanting. Sky Kong Yunjian. At this time, Wang Yuan hurriedly condensed a golden sword, and the sword cut his body in half. Then the part that was not burned by the skylight continuously gathered and condensed a large amount of light at the fracture, and a new body was slowly formed. The other half of the elementalized body on the ground was so stiff that it was burned into by the flames of the sky. Wang Yuan's new body had just formed, and Liu Bian appeared in front of him with an instantaneous technique. Armed and domineering around his fist, he suddenly pinched Wang Yuan's neck. Then he followed the same pattern. An illusion controlled Wang Yuan, let the other party withdraw from the elementalization, followed by a punch, and exploded Wang Yuan's heart. After the Red Dog, the second admiral. Chapter 207. The admiral was slaughtered like the admiral. After crushing Wang Ape's heart, Liu Ren let go so gently, and Wang Ape fell limp to the ground. Thump. The sound is not too loud, but it resounds throughout the scene because of the scene has fallen into extreme silence. Perusalino, General Wang Yuan, Yellow Ape. After several seconds, there were a few shocked, unbelievable, and terrified exclamations. The three people of Warring States period, Queen Pheasant, and Carp, all opened their eyes wide, with bruises on their faces exposed, cold sweat on their foreheads, and even the whole body twitched slightly. They simply cannot accept such a scene. Another general was killed by Demon Eye Liu Bian. How could this happen? General Wang Yuan was just killed like this. The few lieutenants who survived the bombing by Liu Bian before were even more so shocked that their faces were pale, as if they had seen a ghost. They couldn't believe that the admiral, who was the highest combat force in the Navy headquarters, was actually killed. It was so easy to kill. Is it a devil? Magic Eye's flowing blade. A murderous and awe-inspiring shout exploded again, resounding through the audience. Like a thunderstorm, it shook everyone's heads dumbfounded and buzzed. Boom, boom, boom. At the same time, the earth began to tremble, as if an earthquake had occurred. But the Warring States, who had already turned into Golden Buddha, roared towards Liu Bian, burst the pheasant's mouth, and with a soft drink of the green pheasant, a huge ice bird measuring 100 meters away flew towards Liu Bian. As if it covered the sky and covered the sun, the remaining three strongest Navy headquarters began to attack Liu Bian at the same time. Whoosh! Before the Warring States period and the green pheasant, Carp had used his physical skills to be the first to rush to Liu Bian, exhausted all his strength, and hit Liu Bian with a fierce punch. Chapter 391. Unlike the punch on the nameless island, Carp's fist has now turned black. It has been covered with armed color domineering. The power of this punch is many times stronger than before. It's just a pity that the gap in strength between Carp and Liu Bian can't be made up by increasing their strength several times. Liu Ren's shoulders shook, without dodge or dodge, still looking light and fluttering with a punch at Carp. Boom! Carp's body shook suddenly, and then he was smashed back like a cannonball and flew back, smashing a large hole into the hull of a broken warship. At this time, the huge ice bird of the Green Pheasant had already attacked the warring states, which had turned into a huge golden Buddha. Also raised a huge and incomparable fist from another direction, and blasted towards Ryubana accompanied by Golden Buddha's thunderous punch. There was also a shock wave that was terrifying to the extreme. The two organically combined together, forming a terrifying force that was extremely shocking. Let you see what real power is. At this time Ryubana switched his eyes to the kaleidoscope riding round eyes. As the pupil's power flowed, the dark blue energy was surging endlessly amidst the surging energy that resembled a stormy sea. A huge blue giant was formed directly. It is twice as big as the 50-meter Buddha in the Warring States period, the original huge golden Buddha that brought great depression and shock to people. Compared with this blue giant, is nothing but a dwarf and pales in comparison. Everyone looked around, but saw that the blue giant was wearing armor, wearing a Tengu mask, with a pair of wings on his back, and holding a majestic sword in each hand just like a god. At first glance, there is an urge to worship and the magic eye Ryubana, just holding his arms, standing in the mask above the blue giant's head. Looking high up at the Warring States period and the Green Pheasant, Nanny. What is this? The Warring States period wearing the golden light of the Buddha, and the Green Pheasant manipulating the huge ice bird on the side, all showed a look of astonishment on their faces. They could clearly feel the tremendous pressure that the blue giant brought to them. Undoubtedly, this blue giant is the Suzaku who runs the blade. After Susanoo was condensed, Ryubana held two Teishou in both hands, and the thunder strike directly smashed the 100-meter giant bird condensed from the Green Pheasant. Then he turned over and kicked sideways, and slammed on the giant golden Buddha. The huge golden Buddha was like a baby, and was kicked into the air by the sluggish giant Susa. Yes, it just kicked and flew. After flying out for several tens of meters, it hit the ground with a bang click. The ice layer several meters thick couldn't withstand this powerful force, and it was smashed into cracks and swayed in all directions. Is this the real power of Demon Eye Flowing Blade? The Warring States, who was kicked to the ground, looked dull and desperate. This is the power the gods can have, right? How can we defeat such an enemy? The Green Pheasant was even more so, murmured with his face as gray as death. He looked up at the extremely huge giant Suzu, as if looking up at a god. Before the Demon Eye Ryubana had demonstrated a lot of abilities that were desperate enough. But now the Green Pheasant discovered that those abilities were just the ordinary moves of Demon Eye Ryubana. It's not the true power of the magic eye at all. This person has never shown real strength when dealing with him, and the true strength of this person is so disparate with him is simply the existence of two dimensions. Warring States, what kind of enemy are we fighting against? Carp, who stood up again, was completely stupid in the face of such an enemy. His fist is useless even if it is 100 times stronger. As soon as the sleek Susanoo appeared, it can be said that the confidence of the top naval powers on the scene was defeated almost instantly, and it caused a great blow to them at this moment. The Warring States period regretted a little if he had known that Demon Eye Ryubana had such a godlike power. When the Green Pheasant was captured, he would honestly deal with the other party. It won't fall into this situation anymore, but it is a pity that there is no regret that medicines are sold in the world now. They can only fight to the death, nothing more. Whoosh, the Warring States, which had turned into a huge golden Buddha, got up from the ground and rushed towards Ryubana again. However, just when he approached Ryubana, he was controlled by Ryubana to knock it over with a sword. The Blue Pheasant and Carp looked even more ridiculous in front of this kind of power. Just like little mosquitoes, Ryubana didn't bother to take care of it, just randomly separated a wooden clone to send these two guys away, and then concentrated his energy to deal with the Warring States period. The miserable life of the Warring States period began like this: boom boom boom. Incarnate as a giant golden Buddha, he is almost like a human sandbag, being slashed from here to there by Ryujian, and from there to here. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392. The whole process was chopped by Ryubana so that he couldn't breathe, and even a few times he could not fall to the ground when he was chopped by Ryubana. It was a terrible one. How can it be repaired? The two Green Pheasants and Carp saw their eyes cracked, their teeth clenched, but they couldn't help at all because the two of them were also crushed and beaten by Ryubana's wooden clones. The fact is that it hits people like this. The two of them teamed up, and they couldn't even beat a clone of Ryubana. I can only watch the Warring States be blasted by Ryubana. Boom boom boom. For a time, The huge turmoil on the scene that was enough to turb the world continued one after another. I don't know how many warships were turned into fragments in this terrible battle turbulence. Even the tens of kilometers of ice created by the green pheasant during the Ice Age was almost completely destroyed. Finally, boom, giant Suzuo smashed the giant golden Buddha again with a slash, and knocked the golden Buddha a few hundred meters away. This time the golden Buddha didn't get up again and continued to fight Ryubana as before, but simply disappeared. The figure in the Warring States period that was full of blood, embarrassed to the extreme, reappeared. He was so badly injured by Ryubana that he could not maintain the status of the great Buddha, just panting heavily on the ground like that. He didn't even have the strength to get up. Seeing this scene, Ryubana also moved his heart, and directly put away Suzuo Nenghu. At this time, he stretched out his hand to face the Warring States Zuxu, the power of Yantian Shianayan used, and the Warring States people were directly sucked in front of him by Ryubana. As soon as Liu Ren stretched out his hand, he also pinched the neck of the Warring States period. Warring States, Marshal of the Warring States period, Carp and the green pheasant have red eyes, like wild beasts, gritted their teeth and roared towards Ryubana. However, it still couldn't break through the obstacles of Ryukana Avatar. What did I do? The Warring States now has almost no strength in his body. And there is no resistance, just murmured in his face like gray because of his wrong decision-making in the Warring States period. The Navy brought a catastrophic disaster. He is a sinner of the Navy in the Warring States period. Crack, with force of Ryubana's hand, he directly twisted the neck of the Warring States period, and then threw the body of the Warring States period at his feet. It's like throwing a piece of garbage. Ah! Warring States. Demon Eye Ryubana, I'm going to kill you, Marshal of the Warring States. You killed the Marshal of the Warring States. Both Green Pheasant and Carp went crazy. However, there is no use for X-Click. Liu Renmu Avadar stretched out his hand to Carp, and countless wooden branches staggered to form a huge wood net. Then Carp was bound to Tawanshu, and then Hamu clone appeared in front of the Green Pheasant immediately after. An instantaneous body slapped both hands. The shadow imitation technique was used, and the Green Pheasant was directly controlled. Although Ryubana had used this trick against Wang Yuan when he was on the Sky Island before, it still works when used again because the Green Pheasant does not know the principle of shadow mimicry. Why Wang Yuan was fixed in the first place? Wang Yuan and Green Pheasant actually had discussions during their long captive careers, but there has been no clear conclusion from the discussion. After all, there are too many weird abilities in Demon Eye Ryubana, and there are so many abilities that they have always been unable to understand, and in the process of real battles, things like shadows are often ignored subconsciously, and no one pays attention at all, especially when there is no God's perspective, and there is no idea that there is a magical technique to control others through shadows in the world. Ryubana's body instantaneous spell appeared in front of the Green Pheasant, shaking his head and vomiting. For those with natural ability, it's just a little troublesome. Having said that, he switched his eyes directly to the Eyes of Reincarnation, and when he used the power of the human realm, he abruptly pulled out the soul of the Green Pheasant. The Green Pheasant, imprisoned by shadow mimicry, naturally cannot make any physical movements, but elementalization does not affect it. After he discovered that his body was imprisoned, he elementified his whole body in the first instant in order to deal with the next Ryubana attack on him. But even elementalization can't stop the power of the human world at all. This thing directly affects the soul. Even if the Green Pheasant is elementalized, the soul is still there. Nani, the soul of the Green Pheasant saw that he was actually drawn out of his body, and he almost stared out of his eyes. The magic I can play with his soul. Hiss. The soul of the Green Pheasant couldn't help but shudder. It was abruptly frightened by Ryubana. At this moment, Ryubana was no longer a human being in the eyes of the Green Pheasant, but the most terrifying devil in the world. Chapter 393. Boom boom boom. Several crits sounded, but Carp used his own iron fist to punch a big hole in the wooden net, and then burst out all of a sudden. As soon as he came out, Carp saw Liu Blade put his hand on the Green Pheasant's head. He didn't know what he was doing, but even if he used his thigh to think about it, he knew it was not a good thing. Let go of Kuzan, Carp yelled to Ryubana. As you wish. Liu Ren shrugged, not only retracted the wooden clone, but he also walked to the side casually. Thump. As soon as he left, the body of the Green Pheasant fell directly to the ground. Kuzan is also dead. Carp's 5 senses were distorted, and he couldn't accept such a scene. You bastard. Amidst the roar, Carp rushed towards Ryubana once again, not afraid of death at this moment. The 3 admirals and the admiral of the navy have all died in the hands of the magic eye Ryubana. And Carp watched them get killed. Carp at this moment has almost lost his mind. Whoosh, in a blink of an eye, Carp rushed to Ryubana's face, raised his own iron fist, and rushed towards Liu Bian frantically. However, Liu Ren was too lazy to get involved with Carp. His hands quickly formed seals, water escape, water mirror technique. A mirror suddenly formed in front of Carp. Another Carp rushed out of the mirror, and he hit Carp's body with a punch. Ping pong pong. The sound of violent fists and kicks rang out. Shui Jing. Carp completely blocked Carp himself, and the two Carp launched a fierce battle. Chapter 208. The magic eye is fluent. For the sake of Carp's two grandsons, don't kill Carp anymore. When the two Carpus were fighting frantically, the soul of the green pheasant said to Liu Bian with a solemn expression, "You have killed all the high-level naval forces, and there is only one Carp left. If even Carp is dead, then the world will fall into boundless chaos. No, even now, the world will be in chaos, and the pirates who lose their checks and balances will bring endless disasters to the world. The magic eye is flowing. Is this what you want to see?" As expected of the admiral, my soul was drawn out by me and I haven't ascended to heaven for so long. Liu Ren ignored the green pheasant, but looked at the soul of the green pheasant with a hint of surprise and said, but just as Liu Ren finished speaking, the soul of the green pheasant floated away and disappeared. There is no doubt that he flew into the Pure Land. However, what Queen Pheasant said caused Liu Ren to fall into contemplation. Of course, Liu Bian knew what kind of disasters would happen in this world when all three of the three generals died in the Warring States period. All the pirates on the sea will be rampant like never before. Whether it is the Navy or ordinary people, they will all fall into endless shadows. The Navy's words are better to say. After all, it is the ruler of the sea who can deter the pirates for so many years, by no means simply relying on a few top combat powers. Although the top combat power plays a huge role, the overall strength is definitely not to be ignored. Even if a few top combat powers are missing, they can continue to deal with the pirates, but it will be countless times more difficult. But those ordinary people really have no resistance to the pirates. They are just lambs to be slaughtered, just care about killing happily. And leaving countless ordinary families shattered and displaced under the claws of the pirates is not what Liu Ren wanted to see. Although he doesn't regard himself as a good person, he will not do things that cause chaos in the world. Even if the green pheasant didn't say anything, Liu Ren planned to find a way to deal with the aftermath and prevent this from happening, and the method is also very simple. As long as the world is not known, how many people in the Warring States period will die if they die? In other words, by bringing out a few fake Warring States, Queen Pheasants, etc., not only can we prevent the world from chaos, but we can also take advantage of the situation and directly control the Navy in our own hands. It is more convenient to collect devil fruits. Simply kill two birds with one stone. The skill of transforming is very rare in the world of pirates, but in the ninja world, it is simply a ninja basic exercise. He can just go to Konoha to get two ninjas and it is enough. However, after some thinking, this method was finally rejected by Liu Bian because this method is not perfect. Even if the transformation technique can be perfectly transformed into the appearance of the Warring States and others, disguise is not such a simple matter. Even if they look exactly the same, if some habitual personality is different from the person, they will soon be noticed by the people around them. For example, Wang Yuan's astonishing wretchedness exudes from the inside out. Liu Ren felt that even if he had become a yellow ape, his insignificant aura could not be replicated. After all, transformation can only imitate its form, but it cannot imitate its god. This is very fatal, and the most terrible thing is the respective abilities of the Warring States and the three generals, which can't be disguised anyway. If there is any need for the three generals to take action, then it will be completely exposed. To put it bluntly, this method can only be effective in the short term, but it cannot be effective in the long term. It can neither maintain the stability of the pirate world for a long time, nor meet the demand of Liu Bian to use the puppet to collect the devil fruit for a long time. Then, we can only completely resurrect the Warring States. These guys, luck is really good. Liu Bian weighed the pros and cons and found the most perfect way: resurrect the Warring States and the others, and then use other gods to control them. There is no more foolproof solution than this. Chapter 394. After making the decision, Liu Bian ignored Carp, who was fighting with Shujing Carp, and began to portray a complicated technique on the ice in front of him. The words filthy and earth were also fatally engraved in that technique. Then, Liu Bian directly covered the entire battlefield with a domineering look and hearing, and immediately found a navy that hadn't died yet. I grabbed it casually and put it into the surgical procedure. Magic eyes, what are you going to do? When Carp saw Liu Jian attacked the navy again, he couldn't help screaming at Liu Jian frantically. Liu Bian didn't care about it, as if he hadn't heard it. After all the preparations were completed, he directly launched the technique, reincarnated from the dirty soil. Following Liu Bian's shot, the guy who was captured by him as a sacrifice could not help but let out a scream, but then the screams disappeared. His face was distorted for a while, and he suddenly became another person. It is the Marshal of the Navy, the Warring State Spirit of Buddha, Demon Ryubana? Am I already dead? The Warring States was very stunned, but he remembered clearly that he was broken his neck by Demon Ryubana. Why are you standing in front of Demon Ryubana again now? No, there is something wrong with my body. Immediately after the Warring States period, he discovered something, and he began to look at his body. I found out that there were cracks on my body, no heartbeat, no body temperature, unspeakable weirdness. Demon Ryubana, what did you do? The Warring States was frightened, angry, and jealous, looking at Ryubana, and cried out, looking at his body alone, he is actually a dead person. But what is puzzling is that he still lives in this world in this dead state. This kind of trick of the magic guy has already made the Warring States feel a kind of panic. This is too scary. You talk too much. Ryubana shrugged, and did not give any explanation to the Warring States period. He switched to the state of reincarnation eyes, and slapped his hands. Hell Road, a huge statue of Yama just appeared in front of Ryubana. What is this? The pupils of the Warring States period shrank fiercely. His face was solemn, and the Yama image gave him an inexplicable tremendous pressure, like the supreme who can dominate his life. Liu Ren did not explain anything to the Warring States, but directly used the power of the human world to extract the soul from the dirty soil for life. The body of the Warring States period was found again, and the two were thrown into the mouth of Yan Luoxian. Yan Luo seemed to shut his mouth, and after chewing for a while, he vomited the Warring States again. The Warring States has come back from the dead. Huh? Ryubana didn't have any nonsense. He didn't give the Warring States a chance at all, and directly sent another to the Warring States. From now on, you follow my orders. Liu Ren wrote such an instruction into the consciousness of the Warring States period. After a trance in the Warring States period, he immediately returned to normal. Master Ryubana, go and let Carp stop for a while. Ryubana gave the first order to the Warring States, and at the same time, he also dispelled the water mirror technique. The water mirror Carp, who was fighting with Carp, suddenly disappeared. Whoosh! Carp immediately unfolded Shenfar and rushed towards the Warring States period. During the battle with Shui Jing Carp, he saw the dead Warring States stand up again, and always wanted to rush to find out, but he couldn't rush to it. Warring States Marshal, are you okay? Carp looked at the Warring States who stood in front of him, and couldn't believe his eyes. He could see clearly before. The Warring States had already been broken his neck by the magic Ryubana, and he died on the spot. Kapu, I was indeed killed by Demon Ryubana before, but now I have been resurrected by Demon Ryubana, so stop, Sengoku said to Carp with a serious face. Blade of the Demon Eye, resurrected. Carp's eyes widened, and he felt like he was listening to a joke. How could anyone in this world do such a thing as resurrecting the dead? Even if it is a magic eye. However, Carp did indeed see before that Demon Ryubana seemed to have created another Warring States, a Warring States independent of the Warring States corpse and full of cracks. Immediately afterwards, I don't know why, the Warring States, which was covered with cracks, fell, and the former Warring States, which had died, stood up again. Carp felt that his brain was not enough for a moment, and fell into a great chaos. I am going to resurrect one of the three generals next. So Lieutenant General Carp, are you sure you want to hinder me? Ryubana opened his mouth lightly. At this time a word made Carp speechless. After a while, Carp stared at Ryubana incredulously, and asked out loud, can you really do this incredible thing? I really can't blame Carp for being unable to calm down. After all, the power of resurrecting the dead is indeed too appalling. If I did it, Lieutenant General Carp, you must not come out to bother me again. Liu Ren dealt with Carp casually. Then, in front of Carp, he first used the foul earth to reincarnate to summon the soul of the yellow ape, and then used the power of the road to repair the body, and then let the other's body and soul merge into one. After only 10 minutes of effort, General Wang Yuan, who was crushed by Ryubana's heart and died, was able to stand in front of Carp and Ryubana again. Of course, after the yellow ape was resurrected, Liu Ren didn't forget to send other gods casually and turned the other party into his own puppet. Chapter 395. Resurrected. General Wang Yuan is really resurrected. Carp couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the reborn yellow ape standing in front of him. While he was pleasantly surprised, he also had a huge heartfelt fear of Demon Ryubana, to the point of fear if the Demon Eye's rushing blade one day, on a whim, resurrects the people like Lox and Roger back then, wouldn't the world be messed up? Although Demon Ryubana might not do that, but this kind of thing is not afraid of 10,000 just in case. The ability of Demon Eye flowing blade itself is already a huge and incomparable threat. Wang Yuan, kill all the surviving navy at the scene. When Carp's heart was flying, Liu Bian suddenly said such a sentence to Wang Yuan. The fact that he was resurrected and controlled several people in the Warring States period cannot be easily spread, otherwise it will cause endless troubles. Those witnesses on the scene will naturally have to be eliminated. Yes, Master Liu Bian, Wang Yuan agreed without any discount. Then he directly turned into a beam of light, just so suspended in the air. Wang Yuan, what are you doing? Seeing Wang Yuan turned out to be like a loyal servant, obeying Liu Bian's orders, and really planning to attack the navy, Carp was shocked and angry. Can't understand. After roaring twice, he suddenly came back to his senses, staring at Liu Bian. Magic Eye. Liu Bian, did you do your hands and feet, right? What did you do to General Wang Yuan? Lieutenant General Carp, you don't really naively think that I will resurrect them for no reason? Liu Ren smiled disdainfully, Ba Chi Kaiong Kuaiu, and during the conversation between Carp and Liu Bian, Wang Yuan had already started. He used his domineering look and hearing to cover the entire battlefield, scanned the navy that was still surviving on the scene, and then thundered directly, hitting his own iconic big move directly. Chi 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 chi. The golden light burst out from the sky, covering the entire battlefield. The screams suddenly rang. Lieutenant General Mole and other survivors were all killed by the yellow ape using his ability. Wang Yuan, you are crazy. Hurry up and stop. Hurry up and stop. Carp desperately yelled at the yellow ape in the sky, but it did nothing. Wang Yuan had been cold-blooded all the survivors before he floated down from the sky. The Warring States period was silent from beginning to end, standing on one side as if watching a play. His expression did not change at all. Carp knew that his old friend must be the same as Wang Yuan, who was controlled by Demon Eye Liu Bian using some unknown means. Magic Eye Rushing Blade. You sleep, Carp. For people like you, getting angry is easy to hurt. Carp was halfway through, and the writing wheel in Liu Bian's pupils turned towards Carp. Carp immediately fell to the ground after being hit by the illusion of flowing blade. Then Liu Bian brought the corpses of the Warring States period, the yellow ape, Carp, and the red dog blue pheasant into the divine power space. After finishing all this, Liu Bian shot Shenluo Xiansang directly at the sea below, shattering, accompanied by a super huge wave several hundred meters high. The entire sea area began to be frantically turbulent. Its momentum is more shocking than a huge tsunami when everything was calm. The original naval warships and the corpses all over the ground had disappeared and sank to the bottom of the sea forever as if nothing happened before, and Liu Bian had already entered the divine power space long ago, appearing in front of both the Warring States period and Wang Yuan. Master Liu Bian, Master Liu Bian. Both of them greeted Liu Bian respectfully. Liu Ren nodded, and said to the two of them, after I resurrect the blue pheasant and the red dog, I will release you back to the Navy headquarters. In the future, you will do what you should do on the surface, but other than that, I want you to collect devil fruits for me with all your strength, understand? Liu Bian directly gave orders to several people. Understood. Master Liu Bian. Both the Warring States period and Wang Yuan said to Liu Bian without any discount. Chapter 209. A reward of 10 billion, shaking the entire sea during this time. You should stay in my space for the first time. After explaining these words to the two people of Warring States and Wang Yuan, Liu Ren didn't say any more nonsense with these two people, and directly moved out of the supernatural space. And the next moment, Liu Bian had already appeared in another calm sea area. Just so volleyed in the air snapped, Liu Bian slapped both hands. Mew done. Liansu family art. Click. A brand new ship reappeared in the midst of the overwhelming woodsticks. The original ship had long been bombarded with dross by the Navy's demon-killing order. Chapter 396. Liu Blade landed on the boat, and then with a thought, Nami, Nicola Robin and others, who were transferred to the starting ball space by him, reappeared on the boat. Several people subconsciously looked around and found that they were now in an unfamiliar sea, surrounded by calm waves, as if everything had ended. What about those Navy Master Liu Bian? You solved them all? Nami blinked and asked in surprise. When the nameless island was covered by gunfire, Nami glanced at the direction from which the shells were fired. The warships one after another were shocking. What's more, in addition to the large number of ordinary navies, there are also Marshal Sengoku, naval hero Carp and two generals. This terrible battle was actually solved by Master Liu Bian in such a short period of time. The Navy even launched an order to kill demons against Master Liu Jian. It's really looking for death. Old Shaq, who is already loyal to Liu Bian, couldn't help but let out a cold snort. A few of them in the Warring States period were beaten away by me. As for the other navies, Liu Jian shrugged at this point, as if talking about a trivial matter. I killed them all. Hiss. Nicola Robin couldn't help but took a breath. Speaking of Tu Mo Ling, no one has more say than her, but she knows very clearly that Tu Moling has as many as 10,000 navy on board. In other words, Master Liubian killed 10,000 navy. Nicola Robin has been on Liubian's boat for quite a while, and he has rarely seen Liubian kill anyone, but unexpectedly, Master Liubian was so thrilling when he shot. Master Liubian, did you really kill 10,000 navy? Nami's legs trembled a little. Cold sweat. The navy will definitely not let it go. Nami, you seem to be upset. Now it is the navy that should be afraid of. Not Master Liubian, Lao Sha said while smoking a cigar. The 5 generals and the 10,000 navy configuration were all beaten and fled by Master Liubian. The current strength of the navy can no longer be used by Master Liubian. Don't worry about these meaningless things, Liu Ren said casually to Nami, and then ordered Lao Sha, call Miss Friday and ask where the 4 emperors are now. Yes, Liubian's next goal is the 4 emperors, or to be more precise, Kato, an aunt of the 4 emperors. After all, the fruits of these 2 people are a Yangdun chakra that is highly compatible with Flowing Blade, and a Yindun chakra that is highly compatible with Liu Blade. In the case that Doereg is not found, the priority of these 2 is naturally the highest. As for red hair, Liubian naturally wanted to get rid of the domineering from him, but the priority was undoubtedly ranked behind. Yes, Master Liubian, Lao Sha immediately responded, and then took out the phone worm and called Miss Friday back. What's the situation with Kato and Bigman now? Liu Ren glanced at Miss Friday standing on the railing and asked casually, Master Liubian, Kato and Bigman are stationed in the outer waters of Marinvander, facing off with the Navy headquarters. There is no other action for the time being, Miss Friday answered respectfully. After such a long time, even if this guy doesn't know the true relationship between Lao Sha and Liu Bian, he still sees that something is coming. It seems that the owner is cooperating with Moin Liubian, and is in a position dominated by Moin Liubian. Therefore, Miss Friday Convection Blade dare not neglect a single point. Nami, map, Liubian said to Nami again. And Nami immediately took out the map and placed it in front of Miss Friday. It's right here, Master Liubian, Miss Friday said after looking at it for a while, pointing to a place with his paw. Lao Sha, go. Liu Ren immediately ordered Lao Sha. The group set sail again because of the problem of the cooling time of the other gods. Liubian took a special day after taking control of the warring states and the Yellow Ape. It was not until the next day that they caught 2 pirates casually and served as sacrificial offerings for the rebirth of the dirty soil, and then resurrected the red dog and the blue pheasant in the same way, and transformed them into their own puppets. As for Carp, because of Luffy and Ace, Liubian really didn't want to do anything with Carp, but the premise is that Carp doesn't bother himself again, which is not a big trouble. After Liubian thought about it, he waited for another day, and after the cooldown period of the other gods expired, he revised Carp's memory, erased the memory of killing the admiral and the 3 generals in Carp's impression. The result of their launching the demon-killing order is consistent with what Liu Ren said to Nami and others, except for a few of them fled in embarrassment. All the others were killed. Not only that, Liu Ren also issued a special order to the warring states, not to send Carp to deal with himself in the future. The step has been achieved. If Carp still shows up in front of him in the future, it can only show that the Navy hero is itchy and owes repairs. Liubian could only blast Carp for a while after using other gods on several people. Liu Ren didn't leave a few more guests and let them go. Several people immediately contacted the nearby Navy branch, asked for a ship, and turned back towards the Navy headquarters. Blubberoo. On the way, a special phone worm on the warring states rang, and the look of warring states was slightly awkward. This phone worm is a special phone worm used by him and the admiral of the Navy. After the warring states pondered for a while, he connected. I am the Navy Marshal Warring States. Sure enough, there was a very vigorous and familiar voice. I'm the Commander-in-Chief of the Navy, Marinvando Marshal's office. He sat at the desk with a majestic face, and his face was extremely solemn, and he had a bad premonition in his heart. He had just communicated with the warring states almost 3 days ago, and by then the warring states had already deployed everything in advance. He also reported to Gangakwang that he had discovered the magic Liubian, and at most a few hours, the other party's ship would arrive at the unknown island. Chapter 397. It stands to reason that the Demon Slayer order should have been activated long ago, but 3 days passed, but there was still no news from the warring states. Gangakwang couldn't wait, so he took the initiative to contact the warring states for inquiry. Warring states, what is the result of the operation? Have the 3 generals redeemed it? Gangakwang asked in a deep voice. Commander, the 3 generals have already been redeemed. The words of the warring states gave Gangakwang a sigh of relief. That is to say, the action was successful. Gangakwang asked slightly excitedly. Commander, The action is not considered a success. The voice of the Warring States period sounded solemn. As planned, after we redeemed the 3 generals, we launched the order to kill the magic sword against Ryubana, trying to shed the magic eye. And that little island is completely erased from this world. Is there something wrong with the action? Gangukwang's brows couldn't help but frown even from the point of view of the steel skeleton. This plan is absolutely perfect even if the magic eye Ryubana had great abilities. Once the Navy even blasted the opponent's islands, the opponent would not be able to survive after all. How to survive in the boundless sea? The island they chose to trade in the Warring States period seemed random, but they were all strictly screened first. The island is not big, but small enough, because it is small enough to be completely erased. Secondly, it is a deserted island, uninhabited, so that it is convenient to launch the order to kill demons. At least without the burden of letting countless civilians bury them for the eyes of demons once the Navy launches the order to kill the demon. Even if the magic eye Ryubana is not killed, it will be drowned alive. Of course, the Navy didn't have much hope of blowing the opponent to death like a strong man like Demon Eye Ryubana. The main hope is to drown the opponent, but now it seems that this hope has also been lost. Commander, the magic eye can fly, and there is space capability. Our plan has completely failed. The voice of the Warring States period sounded a little more dignified, except for the 3 of me, Karp and Sakazuki. Besides, all the navies are buried in the hands of Mo and Ryubana. Several of us, all of us were injured by the Demon Eye Ryubana, except for the fact that they were controlled by Ryubana. Everything the Warring States had said to Gangukwang was true, and there was no concealment. What did you say? An extremely shocked expression appeared on Gangukwang's face, and he stood up suddenly, unable to believe his ears. Warring States, Karp, and 3 generals joined forces. All of them were injured by Ryubana. Not only that, all the 10,000 navies on 10 warships were killed by the magic eye. How can this be? Warring States, is Demon Eye Ryubana so powerful? Gangukwang asked in shock. Commander, even so, I feel that Demon Eye Ryubana didn't use his full strength. The words of the Warring States period made Gangukwang more unbelievable. After a few seconds, Gangukwang let out a long sigh. How many years has it been? Has such a monster appeared on the sea? The word again means that similar monsters have appeared on the sea before. There is no doubt that Gangukwang is talking about the Red Earl of the Year. No, judging from the current performance, even the Red Earl of the Year is not as good as the magic guy. Then Gangukwang thought with such a serious face, Commander, we are now returning to Malanvander at full speed. When we wait for specific things, I will report to you when we go back. During this period, please also ask the Commander-in-Chief to continue to sit in the Navy headquarters. Inside the phone worm, the solemn and heavy voice of the Warring States continued to sound, and the steel-boned empty thoughts were pulled back again. I got it, Steel-bone replied, empty and heavy. After finishing the call, Gangukwang sat back again, showing a contemplative expression on his face. With such terrible power as the magic eye, what power can the Navy headquarters do to win the opponent? Isn't it? Is it the only one to go out? My old bone hasn't moved for a long time. Immediately afterwards, a sharp light flashed through the steel-bonded eyes. With the addition of the naval power ship and the special current for the Navy, the speed of the people in the Warring States period was very fast, and it only took more than 20 days to return to Malanfando. The first thing in the Warring States period was to come to Gangukwang and tell Gangukwang in great detail what happened at that time. Of course, it has been polished, but apart from the fact that Liuli killed them and controlled them, most of the other things were facts. The Demon Eye Blade can control seawater and create huge waves that even naval ships can overturn at once. Magic Eye Ryubana also has the space ability, can open a space door to escape. Besides, can he fly? Demon Eye Ryubana has other means besides domineering, which can cause damage to those with natural ability. Then, Gangukwang was shocked again and again, and the magic eye's tricky methods made him feel frightened and jealous. This person has so many incredible abilities. How did he do it? This completely broke the law of the sea. Gangukwang frowned his brows into a bowl of chrysanthemums, but still couldn't understand this. Warring States, you shouldn't act rashly about Demon Eye Ryubana in the future. He is no longer what ordinary naval forces can handle. You just have to pay close attention to the movements of the magic Eye Ryubana. After I return to Maria Jairia, I will report to Master Wu Laozing about the matter of the magic eye. How to deal with this person depends on how Master Wu Laozing decides. After Gangukwang had learned about the situation from the Warring States period, he hurriedly left. After Gangukwang left, the Warring States called his secretary and said, improve the reward of the magic eye to 10 billion. 10 billion. The secretary almost stared at his eyes. and couldn't believe his ears. That's 10 billion, raised a full digit, but think about the sturdy record of Demon Eye, destroying 10 warships, killing tens of thousands of navies, and injuring marshals and generals by oneself, is indeed the greatest threat ever encountered by the Navy. Chapter 398. 10 billion is not an exaggeration. The Navy's reward was immediately issued. There is no doubt that the whole sea directly exploded into the pot. Chapter 210. The shock of the 5 old stars. Ryubana is so abnormal. Holy land. Mary Jo. A huge room full of Gothic style is extremely luxurious. 5 old men who were tall, short, fat and thin, sat on the sofa incomparably lazily, and one of them was bald with a sword in his hand. At first glance, there is nothing special about the sword, but in fact it has a lot of background. That was just a peerless demon sword, the first generation of ghosts, and these 5 elders have a bigger background. They are the supreme rulers of the world government. To put it bluntly, they are the supreme power controllers of the world government. 5 old stars, of course, this is for the world. After all, the existence of Yimu is unknown to others. Opposite Wu Lao Xing, there was a steel-framed hollow sitting in danger. After Gangakong returned from the Navy headquarters, he immediately returned to the world government, asked the 5 old stars, and reported the failure of the warring states and other operations to the 5 old stars. That magic eye, Ryubana, has it reached this level? After the 5 old stars listened, all expressions of shock appeared on their faces. Killing 10,000 navies is nothing, but defeating 5 generals at the same time is too shocking. Isn't it? There has never been such an enchanting metamorphosis in Dai. Even the top 4 emperors who have been famous in the sea for many years are far from it since Ryubana defeated Hawkeye and became famous in the sea. The 5 old stars have actually paid attention to Ryubana, but they never thought that Ryubana could reach this level. This is the specific information of the demon eye Ryubana held by the Navy. Please check it out for a few adults. Then Gangakong placed a piece of information in the hands of Wu Lao Xing. The 5 old stars began to circulate each other. After reading it, each of his faces became more and more surprised, showing incredible expressions. In fact, they also had the intelligence of demon eye Ryubana, but they didn't have the comprehensive ones sent by Steelbone and this information of Gangakong. There are a few more things that the 5 old stars can't calm down. The magic eye can control the sea. Those with devil fruit ability are those who are spurned by the sea and cannot touch the sea. If Demon Eye Rushing Blade can really do all this, then it is the nemesis of all those with devil fruit ability, including some of their 5 old stars, even Lord Yim. In addition, the Magic Eyes Flow Blade, you can also harm the natural type ability without using domineering, which also breaks the usual law on the sea. It is also a great threat to those with natural ability. So right, the existence of magic eyes and blades is a huge threat to the Navy and the world government. After a while, the 5 old stars who read Ryubana's materials began to express their opinions. One of them said with a shawl and long hair, "The world government does not allow this kind of person to exist unless he is under the control of the world government. Do you understand?" Another 5 old star wearing a hat also echoed, "We want you to use the fastest possible time to fully control the demon eye flowing blade. We are very interested in his abilities. His existence breaks the laws of the sea, and there must be hidden secrets in his body. However, if things cannot be done, we also allow you to kill them. During this period, we will let CP0 fully assist you in your actions. The strength of Demon Eye Ryubana is unpredictable, and I have no confidence in defeating him." Gangakong didn't have a big deal, but said calmly, "Take my first generation Ghost Che, go, don't let us down." The bald 5 old star immediately handed his first generation Ghost Che to Gangakong. The first generation of Ghost Sword is the supreme demon sword, possesses incredible abilities, with the power of steel and empty. Holding this demon sword will surely be as powerful as a tiger, and its strength skyrocketed. Defeating the magic eye Ryubana is not a problem. Gangakong respectfully took over the first generation of the bald 5-star Ghost Che, and after paying a salute, he respectfully retreated. Warring states, "If there is any movement of Demon Eye Ryubana, please notify me as soon as possible." After returning, Gangakong not only completed the docking with CP0, but also gave an order to the Navy Marshal warring states as soon as possible. "Understood, Commander." The warring states responded. After that, one order after another was issued by the warring states period, and each branch received relevant orders about the magic eye Ryubana. The entire Navy began to stand up in this process. The name of Demon Eye Ryubana has already set off stormy waves on the sea once again following the announcement of the latest reward order. Daddy! Aboard the Moby Dick, Marco took the latest reward order and ran towards the Whitebeard. Bluffing, the Whitebeard, who was drinking heavily, wiped the wine stains on his mouth, glanced at Marco and smiled and asked, "Marco, my son, it seems that something big happened in the sea again, right, Marco? Let me guess, what did Demon Eye Rushing Blade do?" Ace asked wittily on the side. It's no wonder that Ace guessed Ryubian's head all at once. It is true that Morn Ryubian has been too smashing recently, and there will be a super big news every 3 weeks, especially the scene where Marco made such a fuss and came back to report the letter. The Whitebeard pirates have a very high rank, and it is really difficult to attract their attention for ordinary things, not to mention making a captain so excited. Ace, you're right, it's a matter of flowing blades. Marco waved the reward order in his hand. His reward order has been updated by the Navy again. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399. Updated again. Baybird was taken aback for a moment, and then couldn't help laughing. Goo la 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 la, what else did Demon Eye Ryubian do? The reward of the Magic Eye Ryubian has risen again. Diamond Jaws' face showed a look of surprise. He has already offered a reward of 7 billion. So high. Marco, how much is the reward for Demon Eye Ryubian this time? At least 1 billion Baileys will be added, right? Hey. Could it be said that the reward of the Demon Eye Flowing Blade has reached more than 7 billion, even more than 8 billion, more than 9 billion? Everyone couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva when they heard this. Isn't this too exaggerated? Dad's reward is only more than 5 billion, 10 billion. It's a full 10 billion, Marco said with excitement. Nanny, 10 billion, this is too exaggerated. Hi. 10 billion. Really or fake? There was a sudden sound of air conditioning around. Even the Whitebeard was stunned. This reward has refreshed their 3 views. Everyone has never dared to imagine that there will be people with this level of reward in this world. Goo la la la. It seems that Demon Eye Ryubian has done something extraordinary. A few seconds later, Baiho laughed out loud. He suddenly looked forward to something exciting in the next newspaper. The outer waters of Marin Vatican Kato pirates, on the main ship, 10 billion. Kato looked at the reward order placed in front of him, with a look of surprise on his face. Their 4 emperors are already the top powerhouses in the world, and their rewards are only at the level of 5 billion. This magic eye is so powerful that it is twice as tall as they are? This is also absurd. Boom. Immediately after, Kato waved his hand. He smashed the mace in his hand at the reward order. There was a sneer in his mouth. A 10 billion reward is offered. The Navy is saying that this person is twice as strong as mine. Did those people in the Navy have their brains broken? How could there be people offering a reward of 10 billion in this world? Quinn couldn't help cursing harshly. 2 months ago, a reward of 7 billion was offered, and a reward of 10 billion was offered in just 2 months. It's like a child's play. Jack curled his lips indifferently, with a cold expression on his face. Master Kato, you don't have to care about this kind of thing. Master Kato's reputation must not be tarnished by this clown. Master Kato, let me kill him. Jin, who is also one of the 3 plagues, said murderously, counting it down carefully. It has been less than half a year for Morn Ryubian from debut to now, but the reward has risen from 4 billion to 7 billion, and to the current 10 billion. It's just like joking. Although it is not clear what the Navy is doing, Kato and the others do not believe that the Magic Eye and Ryubian really have the strength corresponding to the amount of reward. Jin, don't worry. Wait until we are done with the present things, then it will not be too late to deal with the Magic Eye. Kato put away the mace at this time. I also want to see it, and offer a reward of 10 billion. Bailey's people, can you kill me? It is said that Gangakong has returned to the world government now, and he should be active too. Otherwise, I've been shocked by the steel bone space for so many days. If he doesn't do anything, the world would think that Kato is a fool. Not only Baybird and Kato, but also Ant and Red-Haired, who are also one of the 4 emperors. We're shocked by the 10 billion reward amount. Even the 4 emperors are like this, not to mention the other ordinary pirates. Each of them seems to have been struck by lightning, and they are all stupid. 10 billion Baileys. Am I not mistaken? Or am I not awake? I can't imagine that someone can be offered a 10 billion reward by the Navy. This is so shocking. What? Fake? Demon Eye Ryubian was offered a reward of 10 billion Baileys. Oh my god, what did Moi Ryubian do? Did he blow up the Navy headquarters? The 4 emperors are far inferior to Demon Eye Ryubian. He is far beyond the existence of the 4 emperors, above the sea. There are similar discussions everywhere. There are even good people who have specially re-ranked the current pattern of the sea, calling them 1 emperor and 4 emperors. 1 emperor undoubtedly refers to Liu Bian, and in terms of position, he ranks directly in front of the 4 emperors, 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, 1, 10 billion. Flowing blade on the boat. Nami and Nicole Robin light on the reward order, counting the long string of zeros at the back over and over again after counting back and forth several times. I finally confirmed in disbelief that the amount of the reward order was indeed 10 billion, 10 billion. Hiss. Nami and Nicole Robin looked at each other, and then took a breath. The 10 billion reward really shattered their 3 views, leaving the 2 of them in shock and unable to recover for a long time. This kind of reward order only expresses an attitude of the Navy, nothing more. There is no need to make such a fuss, Liu Ren said with a face full of disapproval in his eyes. 5 billion, 10 billion, there is not much difference. Anyway, it is impossible for someone to catch him in exchange for a reward. Not only him, the Navy also understands. Chapter 400. The rewards of the 4 emperors have been hanging for many years, and every 4 emperors pirate group has many super large pirates under their hands, and I have never heard of anyone whose rewards have been fulfilled. Instead of paying attention to these meaningless things, Nami, you might as well think about which devil fruit to choose. Liu Bang followed immediately and said to Nami. During this period of nearly a month, Lao Shat had already ordered the agents of the Baroque Work Agency to find the devil fruit illustrated book and send it to Nami's hands. However, Nami was very disappointed that the 40 devil fruits collected by the Warring States period were all kind of garbage fruits. Basically all of them are of animal origin. And they are still the kind of sheep fruit, bunny fruit and other fruits that have little combat effectiveness, and even the ability to activate will be a little shameful. Either it's some other messy Superman series, or the kind that is neither good nor bad. In fact, this is understandable. After all, for the Warring States period, these devil fruits have to be handed over to the enemy, so naturally they cannot be any good things. A fool can do things like the enemy. The devil fruit can only be eaten once in a lifetime. After eating it, it will become a land duck, and it cannot be eaten casually. So Nami really wasn't very interested. Forget it, Master Liu Bian, thank you for your kindness, but I don't think these devil fruits are appropriate. Nami thought for a while, but she refused. Seriously, forget it, do it with you. Liu Ren shook his head. Now that Nami has decided not to use those devil fruits, Liu Bian naturally began to enjoy it. After greeted everyone on the boat, Liu Bian entered the divine power space and began to absorb all the 40 devil fruits. Although the increase of each type of devil fruit is very weak, a full 40 of them is still a small gain for Liu Ren. Basically, the chakras of the 7 attributes have increased in varying degrees, of which the Yin Dun and Yang Dun chakras have increased the most. 40 devil fruits can bring such an increase. As for what kind of surprise his 4 undercover will bring to him in the future, Liu Bian said he is still very much looking forward to it. It seems that turning the Warring States members into their own puppets is an extremely correct choice. Chapter 211. Red hair. Your face is worthless. After completing the strengthening in the divine power space, Liu Bian did not delay any more, and then he reappeared on the deck with a thought. When everyone saw a special vortex flashing past, Liu Bian's figure reappeared so suddenly. Regarding this scene, whether it's Nami, Nicole Robin, or Lao Shat, everyone has already taken it off. Master Liu Bian, you came just right. Miss Friday brought the latest information. Nami just greeted Liu Bian calmly. Liu Bian nodded. He naturally spotted Miss Friday next to Lao Shat at a glance. Master Liu Bian, the latest news: the Admiral of the Warring States and the naval hero Carp, and the 3 generals have returned to the headquarters of the Navy, originally in the outskirts of Marin Vander. Kato and Big Mom, who were confronting the Navy headquarters, began to become active again. This is their latest position. Miss Friday pointed out the precise location to Liu Ren and others on the map. Liu Bian nodded, and didn't say much nonsense. Everyone continued to move in the direction of Kato and Big Mom, and with Liu Bian's huge reputation now in the entire sea, his every move has attracted the attention of the entire sea. There was still a long distance away from Kato and the others, and the movement of the magic eye and the blade had spread all over the sea. The entire sea was plunged into an extremely tense atmosphere. After all, in the outer waters of Marin Vander, 3 pirate groups, Kato, Anti and Redhead, have gathered. Except for the Whitebeard, the 3-4 emperors were all facing each other there. This is already a touch of the whole body, a sensitive place that is bad enough to change the pattern of the sea. And now there is another magic eye that has set off endless wind and waves on the sea. No one can calm down the sea. I am afraid it will be completely messed up, Master Kato. Kato pirates. On the main ship, Kato was discussing matters with several cotters, but a crew member suddenly walked over with a solemn expression. If you look closely, you can still see a trace of tension on this person's face. You better have something important. Kato was discussing business with the cotters, and he also explained beforehand that he should not be disturbed easily, but he was interrupted at the moment. His face suddenly pulled down, and he looked straight at the crew member and said, "Huh?" The atmosphere in the entire hall suddenly became extremely depressed. The crew member's forehead shed cold sweat even more. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, "Master Kato, we have found the magic eye sluggish, magic eyes flowing blade." Kato, as well as his 3 plagues, 6 volleys and others, all looked slightly moved. Even they couldn't ignore this person. "Mon Ryubana, where's he?" Kato immediately asked the crew in a deep voice. "We are about 20 kilometers away to the southeast." The crew dared not neglect, and immediately replied, looking at his course. "He is also heading towards the generation of Malin Vando." The expressions of Kato's people became more dignified. "More than 20 kilometers. This distance is actually very close, and Malin Vando has already occupied 3 of the 4 emperors outside. So why is the magic eye Ryubana coming to join in the fun, right here?" Without waiting for Kato's instructions, the crew member took out a map and pointed out the location of Ryubana on it. Kato and the 3 plagues all gathered around to take a look, and their faces couldn't help showing a look of doubt. What is the purpose of the magic eye, Ryubana? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.